Ready? Aim!
There's too many!
Anyone see my mammoth?
Stumpy! It would be really clever if I always checked the audio inputs when I do these things. So anyway, please, I welcome today that we are back. We are here. It is Wednesday. No, Tuesday. Christ, my day's gone. It is Tuesday, and I am back. A special episode of Tourney Ground. But I'm not alone. You'll probably notice there are various black boxes around my head. And I will be going through and introducing my friends here. So we have the indomitable legend, the incredible man that he is. It's Daniel LArks Loeffelmann. He's probably going to shout at me a lot for not getting his name right, which I think is this one. He says. I'm going to get the wrong. Oh, there we go. Look at that first time. No technical issues here. LArks, Daniel, how you doing?
Fine. Really looking forward to discussing all the interesting news with you.
See, this is the kind of level of hype that Daniel brings to a stream. He's absolutely over the moon. In case people don't know, that was Daniel, like, full-on excitement levels. So next up, we've also got a good friend and not often seen on stats, but you'll know his name from the top of the leaderboards, and it is in fact sirjacobofglais, otherwise known as Jacob Bailey. He is joining us as well, and is this the first time face reveal? There we go.
Potentially, yeah. Hello. I'm very excited to call everything unplayable. It's going to be great.
There we go. That's the kind of thing we need. And finally, finish us off, our mystery guest. It was going to be Carlo, but he's in Istanbul. Not really a mystery. But I applied to another guy, and he was like, "Oh, I'm really good at the game, and I'm really gutted. I can't be there. I'm at football practice." Rip Mikel. So I got a cheap, crappy imitation instead from the US.
Wow.
And it is Lord Commander Bob joining us as well. I say,
well, guys, I'll see you later.
No, it's great to have Bob on as well. Really glad to have Bob on. I enjoy Bob as both a human being and a concept. Hashtag who is Bob. So, first things first, before we dive into the actual changes, I mean, the first thing we need to discuss while people are still joining us. Shocked faces all around. Simon hit a deadline. They said 12 Eastern, 5 PM UK. It's here. They didn't lie to us. It's pretty good, isn't it? Gotta be happy.
We get work council went up an hour early.
It's an hour early.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts. I was at work. I had no idea. That's actually awesome. That is actually awesome stuff. Right then. Let's dive straight in. Now, there are tons of articles, right? There are absolutely tons of articles, and it would be clever if I didn't minimize all our friends. There are tons of articles that we've got to go through. Specifically, we have got, there's main visions in the flame. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't read these. LArks, have you been spending like ages looking at these already, Daniel?
I mean, the articles itself are like not very spectacular, except for some funny details maybe about Asher Commander and stuff. So I think I don't really see them as a topic of discussion.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So the articles we're not going to look over. I like that. We'll just jump straight into the changelogs. Jacob, have you had much? Have you looked at them already? Not looked at them?
Not at all. In about the 3 hours since it's up, I've heard three things, mainly what's being changed and what's not, but I know no details at all.
Oh, cool.
So shock face incoming, I guess.
Cool. And Bob, have you graced yourselves with the information inside these changelogs?
could not withhold my excitement to wait for this stats chat Tourney ground to look at this stuff. I needed to see all of the Night's Watch buffs and everyone complaining about them. So no, I've looked at them. I've thought about some weird interactions already that will probably be FAQ'd and all that kinds of stuff. So yeah, so I've looked.
Cool. Right, we'll dive in. I'm not going to read the full article, guys. If you want to read the full articles, you can do. I will probably dissect what they actually say about this at some other later point, their justifications, and so on and so forth. There are a couple of things we will discuss from a competitive angle, of course, but let's just dive into the update itself. Pachow. A lot of these things are general changes, right? So we'll start with Starks, and I know Jacob, you've had a lot of experience with Starks yourself. The rest of us are pure dabblers in the old Starks, except LArks, of course. You know, LArks has played everything to extreme levels. So, attachments-wise, there's no changes. Outflank is outflank change, and the harden change is harden change. Nothing. Mormont She-Bears changing Warcry, nothing. Mormont Bruisers dropping from 7 to 6.
Another 6-point Stark infantry unit. Exactly what we needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be glad somewhat, right? It's a new unit-ish, kind of new unit-ish. Not that you. Has anyone seen Bruisers on the table? Anyone?
Guess not.
No.
I think once there's someone doing it with Sirio, because Counter-Strike and stuff. But no. I actually thought about them. I was going to play them at 7 with Rickard Karstark in them because I feel like it's one of the only commander bunkers for him.
Mm-hmm.
But this is interesting. 6 points. They do a lot for 6 points.
Yeah.
Like 7 dice on 3s always rerolls, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the simplest way to look at it, which is pretty good. But and I mean the old argument with Starks was: is it better than She-Bears? Is it better than Sworn Swords with Mormont Vet? Both of those things have got worse. So maybe there's space for the other 6-point units to get in there. So yeah, I think it's good.
I mean, now you're doing the one less point meme list of Sirio and Mormont Bruisers, so
more memes.
That's interesting.
When more memes is accelerated, then we're very, very happy. Yeah, awesome. Okay, I mean, it's difficult because I was talking about it last night, right? Point changes are nearly always very big. LArks, you've not really considered Bruisers, perhaps. Is this enough for you to look at them now as a unit, LArks, and just be like, am I going to put them in start lists, or are you still pretty much being like, nah, stop that?
Yeah, I mean, I have to think about it, obviously, but like my spontaneous reaction would be no.
Okay.
Because like where I see, I still think you should go like some cheaper activations and bring in some heavy hitters, maybe some landscape or stuff. Like there was a space for 6-point infantry, like honor guard or she-bears, but since that is gone, like I don't see the need to fill this gap with Bruisers. I don't really see what they offer me. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. Anyone else want to say anything about Bruisers? I don't really even. Such a weird unit, given that they have got so many abilities and keywords potentially.
I had to
And
go
yet-
look up what they did.
I'm
So
probably getting
that
off on
says
this
what I-
Maybe we should bring like, I mean, there's a document where you have the unit cards.
There is. Is it on the website handily saying changelog of the updates there? Do they not actually just have the cards handy? You'll have to forgive me on this one. Is it on Facebook? It probably is on Facebook. Their main avenue of communication is Facebook, right? So, if anyone can link me to the actual changelogs, the actual cards, that would be amazing. Because I don't have that link. God damn it! Why is it that Simon do one thing right and they get it so wrong? Just give us a link in the same article. Why do it that way? I think someone's been a legend and messaged it to me. It's Daniel. Of course it is. It's in the docs file. Ah. Right.
Oh, there we go.
Cool. So here we go. Nailed it. Also, Abiscus, clearly listening in. As you say, yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. So, unit cards, right? Oh god, that's you got one with everything. No, they've done it individual things. Oh god, I hate that.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's really annoying. I guess you're gonna have to print if you're printing them out. Then, it makes more sense. So there we go. Our Stark Sworn Swords, Stark Bowman, and She-Bears. Second to catch up. There we go. Mormont Bruisers, Criplo Precision Reroll Counter Strike, and playable at 6 points. Yeah.
They're still like Sworn Sword, just basically Sworn Swords, just basically the same for an extra point. Like just play
Defense.
Sworn Swords.
They lose an armor, yeah. Counter
They have a
Strike.
better profile. They have better attack. Counter Strike, I guess, is kind of cool. But I'd just play Sworn Swords.
Yeah, and like you have to do something to make Counter-Strike work, right? It's not like naturally working. You have to combine it somehow or get some weekend tokens from somewhere. I don't know. So yeah, it's like it's a difficult unit, and I mean it gives you some flexibility with a precision that is nice, but yeah, I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think it makes
I'm not sure.
it,
Like yeah,
it definitely makes it more playable than it was.
Yeah.
for sure.
So I mean, some people might try it out and have fun with it, casually, especially. I know we have a few casual players at our club that are like, oh, 7 points, I'm still going to use them because it's a cool model and cool unit, and I'm going to use them anyways. And now they'll actually be happy. The 765 profile is nice, but for a 6 point unit, that's nice. But that 5 defense is tough.
Maybe there are some synergies we don't see yet. But yeah, like I don't know.
There's the classic.
It's as I said, like you have to. It's not a unit you put on the table and it will perform great. That's for sure. Like you have to do something, make them work, which is interesting, of course.
Okay. The next change we saw was the Karstark Spearman, and I know that someone in chat, I think it was Ross saying in chat there, that they were surprised that this has changed, but they have removed the Bulwark formation, the +2 to your defense, and instead given the unit Hold the Line. Now, Hold the Line is good, and I can tell by the fact that nobody jumped to say anything there that they don't think this is that good a change.
Trying to decide how angry I am that these are literally Thens but a point more with like one different ability. That's literally it.
Yeah, they get +2 dice on their second rank.
Oh, well, obviously.
Yeah.
But like Taunt and Stand Your Ground are about the same. Taunt is actually quite good on Thens, so yeah, it's very bad. Why would you play them? Just don't. Unplayable.
I'm just shocked that it was they lost their defensive ability and they didn't go up in armor with those big giant shields that they hold.
Yeah.
Kind of odd, but Hold the Line is good. I thought it would be if they had the defensive stat Hold the Line, like if they did it the other way around and got rid of Stand Your Ground and kept Bulwark up there, it might have been cool because then you could have actually did Hold the Line and retreat, and then you still have your defensive stat, right? Or was it when the unit activated? I thought it was like
Actions.
An action,
yeah.
Oh, it's just an action, so never mind. When you used to be able to just sit in combat, it would have been cool, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, these are pretty sad, and especially that Hold the Line synergizes quite well with things like rank manipulation from healing and stuff like that, and you're not taking 6 point Eddard NCU to heal these guys up because there are better things to heal than these guys. Oh. Rip Karstark Spearman. You had one moment in the sun, and it was when you were released. Yeah. Oh well. So we'll dive back into the changelog here. Stark Bowman got a change. Hey! Morale from 7 to 6. Hey!
I was really hoping. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. I
Not
think
bad.
like to quote the article, it says something like, "Yeah, this will bring them up on par with other ranged units." And I was like, I don't think so, because like they have 6+ armor, and I like also from like the general appearance, right, of the unit, they have armor of some sort in like comparison to other ranged units, and like they have 6+. Why 6+? Like even Greyjoy bowmen have 5+. Like seriously. And this hurts. Like I think the 6+, 7+ is not that important in comparison to 6+, 5+ armor. And that's what I would have liked, at least like 5+, 6+. They're Starks in the end, and yeah, they will never win a range duel, I feel.
They might now beat out Greyjoy bowmen, maybe, because the armor's less important with like, especially when you consider our vulnerable tokens coming out from the bowman combo. But yeah, I agree. I don't see them beating any other unit in a 6-point range battle outside of maybe Stormcrow archers, because they might fail a panic and get weakened.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
and at the same time, they're still like longbowmen, and I think like from a design perspective, you could do something with it, right? They are longbowmen. Maybe give them something to outrange to get like the first shot opportunity on other range unit or something. Like there's something you can do and explore and make it interesting. But yeah, I don't know. One morale is a little bit less than I expected here. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
baby steps. says the guy with little children in his house now, and it's like, oh god. That's that's yeah. Jacob, anything you want to add to that?
I mean, didn't care before, don't care now. Probably the best way to put it.
There you go, short and sweet. Didn't care then, don't care now. Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. You were trying to be positive. Maybe this wasn't the faction to start with. Oh,
I mean, it's a
No.
buff, right? I don't know. I tend to like small buffs here and there, so it doesn't completely break things, you know. But this is too small, I guess.
Yeah.
It's very small, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah.
I actually
But
think
I was discussing with someone earlier the difference between 5 morale and 6 morale and how much difference it makes, and we'll see that later when we see another unit. But we were like, okay, probability wise, it's a decent amount between rolling 5s and 6s, and especially with modifiers. And then same with 6 to 7s. It's not as big as 5 to 6s, I don't think. But I mean, you're doing this mostly just so that they can survive ranged attacks more, right? Because if they get engaged, they're worthless anyways.
Yeah. Hey, you say that. My clubmate Dan has killed more things in melee with his bowman than I think he has ranged throughout the entirety of season 2021. So it's sad. All right then. Last changes we saw. The sad thing that we expected to come up but didn't come up and then did come up. It's the Warcry Tactics card changing on Brynden.
That was a bad card. It is now a very bad card.
Yeah. Did they?
Like, why?
Does anybody know if they changed the trigger on it?
They didn't.
Oh.
So, cool. On a very awkward trigger with a condition, I get 1 condition token. Like, why?
That's a point where they really shouldn't have done nothing, which would have been better here.
Yeah.
Because then the card would have something that would make it a little bit better, because it's still a tactics card, and yeah, that's it was a little bit sad there, because as Jacob said, now it wasn't very good before, and now it's you can't even like throw it away to draw another tactics card, which you can with some others, but yeah.
Nightmare.
We should maybe talk about something they didn't change too regarding outflank. There's an NCU that.
Rob NCU, right?
Oh,
Yep.
They didn't change Rob NCU. I'll be honest, right? I'm not entirely against them not changing Rob NCU. It makes his ability kind of unique now, I think. And I believe, as we'll see it later on, but we've got it here anyway, I believe they did change field control anyway, so it's less punishing, right?
Yeah.
So you can't shut down Rob with just, oh, I had this card once per game and now you're screwed. Yeah, I still think it makes Rob questionable, but in some ways I'm kind of glad that it didn't change, perhaps.
They could potentially bring on 2 units at this, basically the beginning of a round.
Yeah.
Now, so you bring one on without flank and then use Rob to bring on another one. But then you're out deployed during the deployment phase, which hurts.
It's not the deployment's not much. I think because with both abilities you get the deployment anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like if you just have 2 less combat units, and are you bringing them on in round 2? In which case you're giving your opponent. Wait, no. If you go round 2, you get start of round 3. Okay, but you lose like all control of anything. Your opponent can do whatever they want while you have 2 units not on the board, right?
Yeah, but then you're also bringing them behind the enemy line, and it's 2 units, not just 1, so they could support each other a little bit more. Where before, a lot of the problem is you're outflanking, you have nothing to support the unit.
But you need space in there, right? To
True.
fit 2 units.
Exactly.
Like,
yep. Yeah.
I don't know.
And this is assuming, like, one of the most common things we saw with outflank previously was you pop on behind somebody, so the first thing they do is, oh, well, I'll take the horses and turn around. And so you've got to leave the horses open, and that implies you're adding a frontal threat or something like that off of swords, which I know that Starks like, but like Baelish still exists. That's a thing. I mean, like,
does Baelish still exist?
He's in the
change log.
I have no idea. I'm going to assume Baelish still exists. I actually don't know. Don't spoil it for me. I assume he's still there. Oh, he might not be now that you've said that. Oh God, Jacob, you've made me worry.
Well, on this page, it just said change to Master of the Game ability, which, as far as I'm aware, is the only ability on his card. So,
fair
not much patch notes right there.
Okay then. So Starks, as we currently know, let's not look at Lord Commander Bob's yellow. That would be harsh. No, let's.
It's not that bad. Come on.
No, it's not. Don't worry. I was kidding. So Stark's in at number 6, and I know that we're doing this only after seeing one faction. They're in at number 6 now. They've, Eddard and Great John have been doing okay. There are majority of the changes we saw there buffs. Like all of the changes are pretty much buffs outside of the Warcry changes, which is a global nerf anyway. Let's have a rating here. Let's have a kind of combined score. Do we think that they are going up, or do we think they are going down? Bob,
can I say same?
You can say same. Yeah. This is a higher or lower, and you've immediately gone. It's going to be the same.
I mean, I don't know. It could go a little bit either way. I guess I don't think the changes are going to impact them enough to shoot them to the top. That's for sure.
Okay. Same question to you, Jacob.
So I think the faction's gotten worse, but the 9 activation Eddard lists that I keep talking about didn't get touched at all. And based off some other things I've been told about, it might be sitting a lot better in sort of the group of 9 activation lists. If people start playing that, because they really aren't at the moment, then I think they can go up, actually. But the ranking is not like the very best lists played, like in a very specific way. And Warcry and Hardened were kind of a crutch for people winning with Starks, so I'm not confident, actually.
Go on. Going down? Going up?
Yeah, I think so.
Down. Oh.
But I think the tournaments, like, they all do better. Like, the better list is getting better, I think.
Okay. That's good. LArks?
I think like there are some like the winning concepts, except for the 9 activation lists, maybe like a lot of them include or rely a little bit on Warcry. They like you see She-Bears often in like the good 8 activation list, for example. So this doesn't work as reliably anymore. So slightly worse, I guess. And I don't think that Hardened really is the key to success with Starks. I think it never was. For me, it was rather a trap. So I don't mind this nerf. And of course, we have to see like the whole ecosystem
Yeah.
that we are now in. But I would think like from untouched to maybe a little bit worse.
Okay. I'm agreeing. Like for me, like we saw buffs, on the most part, but there's nothing there that I look at and go, wow, that's making me rethink how I build lists or change the way I build lists. I'm not really taken by any of the changes myself. I think. Yeah, I agree. I think I would say I'd be more akin to what Bob was saying about Midley to stay the same, maybe a slight decline depending on the ecosystem, of course. But yeah, okay. So Stark's kind of like overall opinion of us four absolute noobs is kind of like a Midley to down a little bit, but not crash out the bottom of the floor. They're not gonna do terribly.
I guess my thought on Starks is just the way they're designed is they do better as they lose ranks, and that's always a like fine line to walk, you know. So I don't know if the way that they work right now, and nothing that they did is helping the way that they're designed right now, in my opinion.
I agree. I do agree. All right then. I will tackle this one now. We'll do neutrals, right? We'll do neutrals because I have a feeling that I need to know what our Baelish has changed before we dive into Lannisters. Neutrals, they've changed Knightly Vow. Now that is interesting to me because Knightly Vow was not particularly good. Have they made Knightly Vow more interesting? I realise as well. Yeah.
Sorry, Knightly Vow appears on a 2-point attachment and an infantry commander in Targaryen. It could be the best ability in the game and it still would not get played. So
Yeah, it's an infantry commander Night's Watch.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, good point.
Dennis Malister.
The reason I remembered that is because no one plays him. So didn't remember that. Like, I guess yes, that is true.
Let's have a little look. These are in a really odd order. There are a lot of attachments changing, but man, it could just be general changes. Oh, there she is. Knightly Vow. After deployment, target one enemy combat unit. When charging that enemy, you can reroll any charge dice. While you can train swords, this unit melee attack gains +1 to hit. Right. So it's the same two abilities, but you just get the +1 to hit if you control swords against anything.
Like buff. I mean, it's definitely a buff, but
I think this. I'll be honest. This buff probably only really helps, in my opinion, one faction. Really, and it is Starks, because you kind of want to take swords for assault orders, right? And like an assault orders charge, assault orders charge with the +1 to hit and the reroll on the charge distance potentially would be good.
in certain units, right? Because I mean, then your last rank thing where you're getting +2 to hit for some units is null and void.
Yeah. I'm also not entirely convinced because, you know, this is also on a 2-point attachment in neutrals. The Night's Watch one, I can kind of see the Targ one might be decent with like a Marsland type style stuff, but it has to be a barrier list. No, it's terrible. No, Knightly Vow still bad.
Yep.
Sorry. Better. Still bad. Okay, I'm going to ask a meme question here. Is anyone going to run Brienne in their neutral lists?
No, not at all.
That tumbleweed moment. No, that is not happening. Cool, awesome stuff. Right, moving on. They removed Rally Cry from the Glory Seeker and added Iron Resolve and Stubborn Tenacity.
Oh god, I'm actually scared now.
Yeah. Can I just add? Is this an alternative artwork that isn't the same as the current ones?
Neutrals attachments box?
Yeah,
that's from
yeah.
the neutrals attachments box. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
listed the different designs always.
So there you go, new art on the card. There you go, small little thing there. Iron Resolve, Stubborn Tenacity for 1 point. I don't think that's too bad. I don't think I'm buying it though necessarily. Well, I might do actually.
Iron Resolve is not to be underestimated, I guess.
Yeah.
In certain cav units, you know.
Mm,
I think it's better than Rally Cry.
yeah.
I think what I'm asking myself is like, did they have a problem with these double cav rally cry interactions, or because some people thought it was like oppressive, or what's the reasoning behind taking rally cry away?
Is it supposed to be a buff or a nerf? I think is the question.
I don't really know. Bob,
I'm
you
not
know
sure
things.
either. I know. I know over here we saw a lot of the rally cry in Champions of the Stag, and that's a high point cost unit. But when those 6 activation lists were being played, that's a lot of people were using that to keep the Champions of the Stag healing each other and stuff like that. But I never saw it as like an oppressive type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand this change, and I have a feeling, like all these cases, if I don't really understand a change, then I have a feeling that they really don't understand a change, and then I think this might be very good. Because I am looking at that for 1 point, and I'm thinking Iron Resolve for a point is not great, but getting Stubborn Tenacity as well on stuff like Grindy Cav, that could be pretty scary. Moving
Yeah.
Heavy Cav to Morale 4.
Yeah, what I don't really like here is like because there's a general line in the patch to at least remove rally cry from certain units so that you see less rally cry. If I may spoiler that, and like if it's replaced with something generic like Iron Resolve, you see like less diversity in abilities in the game, and that's not a direction I would like to go. Like because rally cry, I mean, you can think about it what you want, but I think it wasn't game breaking, and why removing something and replacing it with? I mean, Iron Resolve was cool, but it's definitely not exciting. And Rally Cry at least was something interesting and not as often seen, at least I think. Apart from these cheesy lists, but like I don't know, and I also don't really understand it or grasp it. So
yeah, Rally Cry kind of gave you a different way to think about playing against the person who has the rally cry too. Like, do I really want to damage this other unit, or do I want to go after the unit with rally cry? So it made you think a little bit more, and it provided some control, which I liked, whereas this one doesn't so much.
An interaction between units, right, from both angles. Like so.
Yeah.
Not sure on that one myself. I think that might be. Yeah, I think it waters it down a little bit, but I do think it might come up as being something that gets used an annoyingly large amount in certain places. All right then. Jumping onto the units end of the scale, I saw 2 changes there. One of which I will jump up and enjoy. We've got Golden Company Crossbowmen dropping from 8 to 7 points.
Yay!
Let's have some hype here, guys.
Hype!
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I mean, they're no longer one of the worst units in the game, right? Just straight up, they're no longer de facto the worst thing in the game because they're not ridiculously overcosted. I don't know if they're not enough for 7 still.
I think if you're taking an elephant, you'll take these over the swordsman because I absolutely hate the swordsman. I cannot stand anyone who plays them ever. They're so bad. So I'm happy that they don't get played anymore.
Daniel over here is like, but buy 5 units of swordsman. What am I gonna?
It's not bad, but that's a discussion for another day, maybe. But
fight.
Yeah. They have Iron Resolve, it's a good ability.
So have the Golden Company Crossbowmen, haven't they? Yeah, the Crossbowmen have as well.
And since they end up in close combat because of Sentinel, maybe it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Eat my words. Maybe we see Crossbowmen.
Yeah. That's the attitude I like. I can tell that Bob's sat in there jubilated, and he's like, "Yeah, neutral crossbowmen at 7 points. They sound better than my crossbowmen."
I'd much rather have Sentinel than the Ready Aim Fire. That's for sure at lowest rank, lowest attack dice. But I don't know. I'm Night's Watch and Free Folk player, so I don't get too excited about neutral stuff. It's just like I just don't.
Who plays them? They're not even a faction. Yeah.
I mean, I could run the Golden Company Crossbowmen over Night's Watch, the Builder Crossbowmen, just because like the vows and stuff don't do as much for the ranged units. But it's okay. Do I want ready, aim, fire, or do I want sentinel? So
Got a.
I mean, at least it's a change that's correct, right? It's probably not enough, but we have to see the positive things. It's good.
yeah, it's a
Maybe
really
we'll see them. I never saw them on the gaming table.
Yep.
Not gonna lie. So maybe.
I have good old Dan in our local store, local clubbers say he's playing neutrals at the moment. I don't know if he's ever won with them yet, but he has played them. Actually, I think as a small story, I think they took out a unit of Champions of the Stag solo-handedly. I say that the rest of his army died in the entire process of that happening, but they did. They were the only unit that did damage to the Champions of the Stag. Yeah.
I mean, the Sentinel's nice to get things in the flank, and I know that was they've always been there. We just haven't really discussed them too much because of their point cost. But like the Sentinel is nice to be able to get them in the flank or closer to get the rerolls. So yeah, for 7 points you might see them, especially with. I mean, we know being engaged in this game is not a really good thing to do right now, and you might see them as an option for sundering in neutrals as well.
The next change is a change that I am going to pick on Jacob, because Jacob literally said for the longest time ever, I can't use flayed men, they're terrible, these are the worst things in the game, while also being probably just wrong, but that's just Jacob.
Yeah.
Attack dice dropped from 7 to 6. I was told about this one the other day, and my reaction, and I'll give it to you again, is just kind of like, rip. I do think this is probably a good change for the game. I think neutrals are very sad now.
They still get played in neutrals, right? They just don't like it as much. Yeah.
They get played in neutrals because they've got no other options. But yeah, go on.
So who should have been playing flayed men outside of neutrals? Like, let's seriously answer this question.
Stanicide
Struggling.
Stanicide Brathin for the IP and Mel combo with the Lightbringers.
I actually haven't seen anyone do that. That's a good point. But people were putting them in Martells, which I'm dubious of. People were putting them in Starks, which I guess, but no. People putting them in Lannisters, but not really. Targs, sure. They can go in Targs. They probably still go in Targs. Because Blood Riders are Brit. I guess, yeah, I mean, we all saw the field control change, right? Just not a good day for Targaryen players. Yeah, this is fine. I guess I'm just proven right now. They're awful. Always have been.
I think they could be still viable in Targs, because main damage is still panic. I mean, you still have your auto wound. So I think it's not that big of a deal, maybe, for Targs, but yeah. In general, I think it's a good change. I think that it was a good and well-tempered change here, I would say. As a thesis, so maybe you see it differently, but I think it's good.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the hits from Flayed Men weren't that important, because as soon as you get anything with like serious armor and you don't have tokens, and no one has tokens anymore, because Warcry is the only good way of getting them. Like, yeah, it's actually not a big of a deal. I agree. I'm happy with that. That's fine.
Bob, you've never been a massive Flayed Men fan. Partially because they're neutral, but also because, I know that when you first started playing, Chris ran them a lot, and I think you got fed up about them. But yeah, what's your take on that?
When I was playing neutrals, I was running double Flayed Men Ramsey.
There it is.
And I was actually competing with it in some local tournaments, but it's one dice. They still have crit blow. I don't think it's that huge of a nerf, personally, because they're still got the intimidating presence and the vicious, which is what the damage was from them mostly, anyways. So
yeah, cool. All right then. So mostly on that, it's a nerf definitely, but it's not feeling. Feeling? That's not even a word. Yeah, you're not feeling it. There you go. So Peter Baelish's Master of the Game. Well, straight away I see that he's still 4 points, and he starts the game with 3 order tokens. Okay. Each time he claims a zone, you spend an order token to replace it with the effect of any unclaimed zone. Once per game, at the start of any turn, select one zone. You count as controlling that zone. This is. I don't care. Am I wrong in saying that? I just don't care.
I totally agree.
So this goes as ever, basically, right? You have to be a little bit more cautious with him now, and you can't do it all the time. But from a general perspective, he will do the same as he did before.
Nicely. Like, this is one of those moments where I need to do the whole Steve Buscemi things. Like, I see no problem here. I don't know why this changed, because I didn't really like. If this was 2 tokens, I'd actually look at it and be like, maybe this is something to consider, because it's no longer it. And I know that we can talk about like the Doran meme of like the 6-round Doran, but 2 tokens, he doesn't shut down Doran, like at all. I'm not saying that's a good play. I'm not saying it's like that's the way to beat Doran, but that is the way that people were countering Doran. This change does nothing. He can still counter Doran completely fine. So, and then yeah.
I think the biggest thing it makes you think about is in the first round, do you actually use one of them? That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the later rounds, it doesn't matter too much most of the time.
So we agree that we still will see him in like at least 1 of 2 lists in like every serious competitive player going to an event.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you'd have to really make a buff somewhere else to make me stop running him.
And just excited for the absolute meme of Roos with 3 order tokens, Varus with 4 order tokens, Peter with 3 order tokens. Every game of neutrals. Can't wait.
I mean, we'll see in a little bit when we discuss Free Folk that he's not necessarily an auto-include against Free Folk anymore. Like, as a Night's Watch player, I was taking him to stop Endless Horde. And that and to face Martells. And
interesting.
Yeah, so
I mean, just as a general point, and we're not going to talk about one Free Folk at all,
exactly,
but I'm pretty sure that myself, Jacob, and Larks would probably agree that taking Peter Baelish as a way of countering the Endless Horde was not really the solution.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it helped. It helped a little bit. Yeah. That's about it.
I mean, I take Peter in every list because he's broken, not because he counters a couple of specific things. All right.
Yeah. He's just very good, very, very good. All right then. Oh well. So neutrals as a whole have probably gone down. I mean, let's do our voting. We'll do it. We've stuck with it. We'll do it again. Neutrals aren't a faction. We don't have to vote. There you go. That was easy. No. Larks, neutrals up, down, or really we don't give a shit. They've not changed at all.
Yeah, I mean, since the mainstay of their units got a nerf, even not a big one, they will go down. I guess.
Down for neutrals. Bob?
Yeah, I mean, they're already bottom, but
they're already bottom and they're still going down.
They're just gonna dig deeper.
Jacob?
Everything, like, Warcry was so important to pretty much all good lists that a lot of lists are going to get a lot worse.
That's true.
The same thing as unit stats. Like, I think they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
That's not. That isn't their getting better though, is it?
That is a really good point though. When we think about these things, like they didn't have any of that. They didn't have Warcry, Relentless, or Hardened, and all of that got nerfed. And so that's a little bit of a buff to them in a way, right? So,
and they can make their grindy calf even grindier now. Adding the attachment, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think so. But yeah. Might be. They don't rely upon the other things that got nerfed, so that's a good point, yeah.
All right then, so I'm going to say that is neutrals. Still not a faction, still bottom of the tier. Sorry, Tom, Tyler, winter is coming. You just don't play factions. Get good. Right. So next up is Lannisters. Lots of attachment changes to Lannisters here. Wow. which, by the way, guys, anyone interested, and you've never signed into Tourney Ground before, attachments are bad. So lots of changes to attachments means basically nothing. So let's have a look. We have got Adam Marbrand changing to Hardened, which we know about the Hardened change. Adam Marbrand's Trusted Bannerman, they've changed Vassal. Let's have a little look at his changed version of Vassal. I think they're up here. That's the attachment version, the commander version. So, Vassal. This model counts as Jaime Lannister for all effects. So they didn't change Vassal then, really. Like,
To be fair, if this was after when they do an errata, it'll be written on the cards in the next. Like they'll be trying to change in the next balance. I don't mind that. Like it's a good way of keeping track of that stuff, I guess.
It is, yeah. And they've removed his dumb Jaime's Protectors thing, so you don't get the infinite loop, and just given him Sentinel, which is actually just a buff, right? Like,
No.
I'm pretty sure this is a buff because it doesn't need Jaime anymore.
I mean, this 2-point Sentinel, right? I guess.
Yeah, but with the Jaime AoE, with the cards and stuff, like, I'm digging here.
Jaime's Protector was cool. It was a cool ability. When, like, I mean, the reason they got rid of it is because things we'll see later. But that was cool. I wanted to do that. It felt a bit broken and it was rubbish, but it was fun. They've got rid of it fun for Sentinel, which we see everywhere, and it's kind of boring. I don't know.
I think it gives. I mean, we know Lannisters lack movement shenanigans, right? So it kind of gives them a movement shenanigan that they didn't have, but it's still 2 points.
Yeah. No, I like this change. I think it removes the dumb like infinite cycling thing which could happen, which was just stupid.
Has that ever happened, or seen anyone see it happen, or talked about it happen?
Yeah,
Like, it's been too long thinking about it.
So what it did happen one time, not that I've seen it. Someone did say that they'd done it, and it took them like it was just 2 Warrior Sun Hardened Adam Marbrand units are just kicking the shit out of each other. And it was like, how many attacks did it take? Lots. Brilliant. What fantastically engaging gameplay that was. Dice Roll Simulator 101. So yeah, I mean it's a good change. He's still a 2-point attachment with Sentinel. I'm probably not taking him. No. Okay. Champion of the Faith changes to Warcry. Yep, we know. The Clegane Butcher dropped from 2 to 1. Okay, so they halved the attachment cost. They removed Spread Fear and Weaken Resolved and added Fuel by Slaughter. Okay.
That was his 2 abilities, right? And like
yes.
And did it have affiliation Clegane on it? No, I don't think so, right?
No,
Just those 2, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That might be quite good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's better for less point.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see a lot of Clegane Butchers.
Mm-hmm.
I think we
might.
are.
Yep.
In what, Flayed Man?
Knights of Castle Rock, Flayed Men. I don't know if Clegane. No, they haven't changed the
Brigands?
Brigands, have they?
The Brigands.
Yes, they have.
They have.
I'm gonna have to go back to the.
You
thing
have a spare
here.
point now, you can spend.
Yeah, so
okay.
the change that we all needed and wanted, the Brigands going down to 6 because they were dumb at 7. I do not dislike Brigands with the Butcher in them because that is suddenly quite a devastating unit. Yes, defensively crap, but like it's a unit that just keeps chomping, right? It just keeps chomping.
It's kind of self-sufficient, and like if your opponent fails 1 or 2 panic tests in the course of a game, you can still heal them up from panic, and like you could keep them going, I think, on one flank and wreak some havoc with them.
If they had the ruling that you got, because as far as I'm aware, current best ruling is that the like plus wounds for ranks are locked in before the attack. So if you do wounds with the hits, it doesn't give plus wounds. If they did that, I'd be interested.
I think it's debated. I think I am led to understand that Simon believe you get the +2 wounds regardless of where it was at the start. So if it happens mid, or the +1 or +2 wounds, if it happens mid attack, then that is a buff that you would get. So yeah, if that is a Simon errata that comes out in the FAQ, which I believe they were saying that the FAQ is going to be out in the coming weeks, then the Clegane Butchers inside those Brigands could be pretty devastating. As a 7-point cav unit, that's quite scary. I don't know if I'm looking at this in Knights of Castle Rock, but actually I could do. Because Knights of Castle Rock are going to remove ranks.
Right?
Yeah, but they don't need it really. Like, I don't know.
It makes them impossible to stop though, right? Because the whole point is you get them down to 1 rank and then they're no longer the threat. In the same way.
But they aren't anyway. Like if they stuck in combat, so
True.
I don't know.
I don't. No, think about this. Like with brigands, right? You have brigands with this. Are you going to do an attack that doesn't take a rank off against brigands? Not really. So you leave them alone, and then as soon as you blow them up, and then at that point it doesn't matter anymore. Like a 5+ armor, you just take 6. You don't attack them until you can do 6 wounds, and then they're dead. So
the problem is that doing 12 wounds is quite hard now. I think with the changes, I haven't looked at everything. I think zeroing a unit from 12 is going to be really, really hard.
I mean, you just need to take the rank off, really.
You could even like if late men are not that good anymore, you could put them in hedge knights. Like could put the butcher in hedge knights to create some kind of new 8-point cav unit.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, we'll do that.
Yeah. I like that. That may be quite interesting. I like this. I like this 1-point attachment on cav fueled by slaughter is certainly something I'm looking at. And for reference, people were like, "Oh, but we didn't take the old Harlaw Reaper captain, or whatever it's called. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a 1-point fueled by slaughter Warsworn. We didn't take the old 1-point Warsworn and Greyjoys, but like actually he was like decent. It's just that you didn't have a point to spend on that attachment. If you could get fueled by slaughter elsewhere, Ramsey 2-point attachment, for example, very commonly picked up for that ability in part. Yeah, this could be pretty good. Alrighty then. Jamie Kingsguard changes to Expert Duelist. This is the first Expert Duelist change that I've seen. Let's have a little look at the new Expert Duelist. So, it's the auto wound or you 5+ to kill a attachment. Well, this is just terrible now for the attachment killing and is only there for the +1 wound.
Yeah,
I think they are like leading people into the right direction regarding how this ability should be played in competitive level. Like you should take the auto wound anyway, right? And now they're giving you a clear hint how this is played.
Reminds me almost of the Night's Watch Scorpion. Why would I ever use the infinite range attack? You know, like it could just kind of feels the same of like, okay, let's roll some dice and see if it works. And most of the time it's not going to.
Mm-hmm.
The times that it does, it's still going to feel bad.
Yep. And with Harden being reduced and a lot of the other attachments you want to kill being reduced, I don't really see why you would ever want to kill something. Really? I don't know. I'm not convinced that Expert Duelist for me is just an auto wound now. Like, it was anyway, but now it really is just an auto wound.
Right.
I think it's like, okay that they could have been 4+ from what I think, but like that they leave it if someone wants to gamble and want to play the game this way, that's fine, right? So why not? But I think I'm also with you that the value of sniping an attachment with this patch got reduced anyway. So
I think it got reduced last patch, even when they stopped commanders from scoring 2 on objectives. So we saw Expert Duelist kind of fade away a little bit. People weren't playing it as much anymore.
Basically saying it stops Drogo getting the kill commander point easily in secret objective missions. Yeah, like Drogo obviously seeing this change as well. He will not just be able to run around the battlefield sniping things for victory points, which is definitely a thing. Rip Targs even more. Holy shit. Is everything just leading up to Targs are terrible? Or we're going to see some amazing Targ buffs? I don't know. I haven't read the patch notes. So, Jacob, you've been dabbling in some Lannisters recently. Anything on the attachments there that you feel like hasn't been said?
They're 2-point attachments. I wasn't playing them before. I won't be now. Jamie, you haven't talked about Joffrey Commander yet. I'm interested, I want to say.
Okay, yeah, Joffrey Commander. Holy shit, I hadn't actually read that. It's the same thing that Preston Grenfield has now, or used to have, or whatever. The March and Maneuver off rounds.
Yeah. It's not as bad as it was.
I think this is actually huge, because the one thing that sucked in Kingsguard was you didn't have any way, like they removed the cav move from the banners, and that sucked. And I feel like giving it back in the grounds is an improvement to Kingsguard specifically. Look, I'm still not amazed at Joffrey. I still think Joffrey's cards aren't very good if they've not changed. But, like, I think Joffrey is now certainly, and more importantly, like, his VPs are gone. Let's just take that moment. The VPs are gone. Like,
I think that's the big
you can simply throw away the Kingsguard now, right? Like, get them into something, do some damage. They are 6 points at the end, so I don't know. They will take down something of equal value, I guess, if you do it right. Even more, they could. Yeah, if you set it up correctly, they can tear up a lot of things, and I really like this. So that's something where I would start scheming some Lannister lists for sure.
Yeah, between this and the Butcher, I think you have a lot of gas and a lot of go. Yeah. Anything else?
Not better than Kevin, but a lot better. Like, it's not the worst. Like, Joffrey was just a joke, right? His cards were not amazing. Kingsguard weren't amazing, and there's really bad attachment to make up for that. And now it's not nearly as bad, which is good.
A brief moment to reference Kyle Webb, I believe it was, in the UK, who is desperately trying to just dominate tournaments with Joffrey only. He is going to be absolutely. Oh, there you go. Someone even in chat there. Someone is absolutely going to be over the moon, Kyle. So yeah. And as GN says, he is literally nuts anyway, so it's fine. Okay. Okay, so we knew about the Halberdiers change. We've talked about the Brigands change. The Khazad-dûm Honor Guard dropping from 8 to 7, and the movement increasing from 4 to 5. These are both good changes. Thumbs up from me. Movement changes are always massive. I actually think people forget this. Movement is huge in this game. So this change is massive. I still think that these are not worth 7 points.
I still think they're not worth 6 points.
Well, the problem is, I mean, everyone knows how valuable tokens are, and you have to expend them to get something that's not as valuable as the token, I think.
And you know what they just removed? Your easy abilities to put more tokens out.
Right.
Like, these guys have gone down in value because Warcry's gone down in value.
Yep.
Alone.
Exactly.
I didn't care about their ability. Like, you said this when they released, right?
Yeah.
This ability pretty much doesn't exist. Like, they're just a pile of stats, and for 7 points, that's not good enough.
No, let's not even dwell on that. That's not even worth it. It's like, yeah, you're doing the right thing. Make them 6, and then we'll talk.
Did you see that they initially, when I looked at the app, there were Mountainsmen at 5 points, and they corrected that now?
Yeah,
I was so hyped for Mountainsmen at 5 points, man. I was like seeing the Clegane lists, but that was sad. That was disappointment that they said it was a mistake.
Oh.
Mountainsmen at 5 points run the game, right? You just run like 5 of them, and you win the game.
I agree.
You just YOLO charge with Gregor and just go la 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 la.
Yeah,
everyone pile in.
Maybe some aggressive meta with Gregor getting played. That would be nice. You would figure out ways to win against it, I'm sure, but like.
Are we saying a meta of aggressive infantry is what we want?
Wouldn't mind, I guess.
Yeah. Shake things up, wouldn't it? All right then. Now, we'll do a quick vote. Lannisters up, down, sideways, middly. I'm going to go first on this one, and I'm actually going to say Lannisters have gone up a little bit. I think Lannisters have had a nice little touch up there. I think Lannisters around the world are a happy bunch of fellows. Specifically, I think the the Halberdier change, I think, has made most Lannister players pretty happy. For me, anybody else?
I think they got a huge buff. Like, that they have a viable 6-inch calf now that has synergy with what they do. I think that's very good. Like, very, very good. Opens up list opportunities. They have another commander that got viable, probably. So yeah, that's cool. Good times for Lannisters.
Chat is overwhelmingly saying up as well. Jacob?
They lost Warcry. We're not talking about this enough. Every Lannister list had Warcry in it, and now they don't have that anymore. So everything it's just so much worse. Warcry is how you win games. I mean, you can't do it anymore. Clegane Brigands the way you win the game? Maybe. Maybe.
Imagine saying that a week ago. A Clegane Brigand's the
Yeah.
way you win games. No.
You say that, but everyone that had Warcry lost Warcry, so it's like
Yeah,
sure,
exactly.
it's a nerf to them, but it's also, I mean, sure, Baratheons didn't lose it because they didn't have it, but but I mean, like, I don't know, I think Lannisters are already competing right now, especially with Kevin.
Mhm.
This doesn't These changes don't really change the Kevin list too much, but you could see a second list paired with the Kevin list now that could throw you through, I don't know, what do they call it, where you gotta flip a coin on which list you're running against them, because they're either going to have a cav list or they're going to have a machine gun list, I think they're going to be top tier. I really do.
And I think like that they learned how to play without relying so much on Warcry during like after the nerf to
Poor fellows.
your pro fellows. Yeah. So I think from in my mind that they were already heading in this direction and they should be used to it. So
Yeah, I think you still might see a champion of faith and warrior sons to get that faith token machine going, but you notice they didn't change the warrior sons hardened, so that's also another thing to note.
Yeah.
So that's the same. I guess because you're spending a faith token to get it, then it doesn't need changed. I don't know, because in my opinion, the faith tokens are almost automatic anyways if you have a champion of faith in them. Sometimes you don't even want to attack the unit because they're just going to use it and block everything from their faith ability and then get a token back. So I don't know. I think these changes are really good, and I do think it gives them a different style of play with the 6-point cavalry unit, or the 6.6 movement cavalry unit. Those changes to outflank might not hurt as Lannisters as much as they would have other times, because now they might have a cav list that they can run to turn and go get those units that are trying to outflank.
Mhm.
So, who
this
knows?
one random question: does outflank target the unit? Just
It's not on the board, so I don't know.
okay, yeah, okay. So there is no interference from our beloved Bolton commander.
No.
Okay.
No, it's
So no.
because you can't spend a token within long range of it, right? As well. So
That makes sense. Yeah.
cool. I think that's also overwhelmingly saying that Lannisters are at least midly staying the same, or at least going up a little bit. There's no nerfs, right? No nerfs, and the one change they made, which you could consider a nerf, are like global nerfs and the Clegane Butcher. It's like a nerf because you removed the good abilities. Yeah, and just gave it an actual good ability rather than a fake good ability. Right, cool. Lannisters going upwards. Right, okay. Rip the old Lannister versus Starks. Bob, it's time. I'll unleash you from your prison. It's Night's Watch. Yeah, Night's Watch on the list. We see Cold Hands with the changes to outflank. That's the enigmatic guide. That is the cavalry attachment one. Is it?
No, that's the infantry attachment.
The infantry attachment. Right, cool. So Cold Hands infantry attachment has the change to outflank. Jon Snow infantry attachment, the Warcry change, and Jon Snow Commander has removed Rally Cry and added Furious Charge. For those of you who aren't sure what Furious Charge is, it's the one that gives a vulnerable on the charge. That does actually scare me because I don't think Rally Cry was the point of Jon Commander anyway.
To the Ranger Hunter Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Basically.
And why Furious Charge? Like, you will there's an anti-synergy now, putting him into Sworn Brothers where he might belong. So
yeah, Sworn Brothers already conflict with a lot, anyways, and now like that's one less thing. You can't put a Watch Recruiter in Sworn Brothers because you're never going to use their order. Now you can't put Jon Snow Commander in there because then, I mean, yeah, I guess you could do the Furious Charge off the horse with for the Watch.
So to keep it,
and then you attack and use the rerolls with the martial training. But yeah, I mean, I still think it makes Ranger, Hunter, John with a John Commander even scarier now, because you're applying that vulnerable when you charge them, and you can decide when you want to use it. If you want to use it on the charge attack, or if you want to use it on the shot after you retreat. So yeah.
Random interesting fact for you. It would appear, unless they've done it in a really bizarre... Wow, why have they... This is such a random order of these cards. Wow, I was thinking John's not in here. But no, there he is. Yeah, I think that's going to really buff the Ranger Hunter combo.
Wait.
Yep.
Did Old Furious Charge have the melee attack symbol on it?
Yes, it
because
did, yeah.
that doesn't make sense. Okay, I've just noticed that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make... The melee symbol... I talked about this in long detail. The melee symbol is not about making a melee attack. It's melee symbol abilities aren't tied to making melee attacks. I know it sounds really dumb, but they're not, and it's stupid. Yeah, it's just a reminder. Okay, yeah, Jon Snow, Hunters.
I mean that the Valley Cry is removed, like that's good, because the list concept that they could put out an insane amount of healing. If you did it right.
I relied on that a lot playing John.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love that, especially mostly against people who were like, okay, I'm going to go attack this other unit. Okay, you're just going to leave John alone. Now he's just going to heal them back up, you know.
But in the end, like, they are the faction with the least warriors and not the infinite number of warriors. So maybe this, like, I don't know. I dig it because it could feel like very pointless at some points. So I think it's not a bad one that they have one less source of healing. There's still plenty.
I think John Hunters is just going to be a de facto combo, almost certainly.
But what else you would put them in? Because Shadow Tower Spearmen and Vets didn't change to make them worth playing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, where else are you going to put them?
Agreed. All right then. Uffle changes to Hardened. Satin changes to Vassal. It's just they've included the rewording on Vassal, haven't they? The changes to Night's Watch on Danis Malister. Still not particularly interested in taking him. Night's Watch Relentless has changed. Go on, let's see. I haven't read this yet. Relentless. After this unit's attack, this unit may perform one melee attack action, not an order. This is pretty dumb.
I told Brett, let's go to Adepticon. We'll both take units. We'll take Sworn Brothers with Relentless, and we'll determine the match in the middle. And whoever wins that fight of the infinite loop wins the game.
They did it again. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could just keep going back and forth. So hopefully they FAQ that, or errata that somehow. Mickey's head just goes down.
Shall I tell you why I don't like this? Because this is actually way more important than think people realized.
It is very important, impactful. Like,
yeah,
that's a big change.
Because this is a huge change. Because does anybody realize that Relentless doesn't require it to be a melee attack that you're attacked by? So if you shoot into a unit with Relentless, it can then attack whatever you're in combat with. Like, you can't even
on top
shoot
of the panic test.
Yeah, you can't even shoot these guys when they're in melee and not proc it. I don't think this is that good. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's that good. But like, 2 points, right?
Yep, 2 points.
It's not that good.
mean, you're using it for, the combo with Boldness and Courage, but then you're sitting at 7 activations, and the only way you're getting the 8 activations now anyways is with John Commander. So you're just gonna keep seeing John Commander.
The combination with Swift Strike could be nice, like Hunters maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big thing here is that Hunters can always... It doesn't matter if they get charged by heavy cavalry or whatever, as if they are not zeroed in one go, they can always retaliate with a attack, retreat, shot off the back of being attacked by anything in the game. If you don't zero Hunters now, that is always going to be the response.
It's almost a better move to... You do the attack, you retreat, and then you know that unit's not activated. That unit's already activated. Now you can heal them up. Then go do whatever you need to do. We'll see. it's tough with it's good in hunters, but it's a 9-point unit that can die pretty quickly as well. If you can, you still got to do the same strategy against ranger hunters that you had to do before. You trap them in so where they have nowhere to retreat to, or they can only retreat in one direction.
And they are not a pseudo cav unit anymore, so because they don't have a free maneuver.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
But sorry, Jacob, I think we interrupted you.
No, I'm not sure because, like, it's kind of hard. You said the six strike thing. It's kind of hard to kill them, right? Because you have to attack them at some point, and then they run away. But I got very excited when it says after this unit is attacked. It's like it works on ranged attacks, and then it does work on ranged attacks. You can perform a melee attack, but it doesn't work. Obviously, it works if you're engaged. But like, I was so excited for a second.
No, this is actually right. This is
Did you destroy a
bullshit.
wall or something? Is that where we're going?
Yeah, destroy palisades. You can literally just walk up to range units and not give a fuck. Because if they shoot you, destroy their cover. And that actually reduces
Okay,
their
yeah.
activation efficiency and it reduces things like that. I mean, that's... it's a meme, right? It's a fucking meme, but like... I don't know.
Like, everything about Night's Watch changes, right? Like, Night's Watch meta lists are
Completely
set
different.
on their head completely because of this change. Yeah.
I think you might see John in Hunters, another 7-point unit. Ghost Cold Hands taking you to 4 activations at 21. You see 3 NCUs probably coming in at 12 or 13 points, bringing you in that taking to 33 or 34. At 34, you can probably run a 4-point Watch Marshal, perhaps, including the Watch Captain in the other 7-pointer, or you run a third 7-point unit and you run an 8 activation list with 3 4-point NCUs.
Assuming that we looked at the patch notes, or that weren't any on the next page, which means his watch has ended, hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Night's Watch lists just get really degenerate. Like,
I think
right.
I think you are all wrong, and the new Night's Watch meta won't be about their infantry units anymore. It will be cavalry and war machines, guys.
I
That's when
look, I agree with you, but I think that they can put out an infantry list, right?
Sure, yeah. Just memeing here, but like because I think they're
not entirely. Not entirely.
Because I think like there are concepts to be played and to be explored regarding the changes we will see next.
Yeah, so the Ranger Vanguard coming
Yes.
4 armor makes sense. Like this is a
Hang on, I'll be right back. One
no
second.
worries. 4
I'm gonna get my Ranger Vanguard box and take it out of the plastic on stream.
Yeah.
Actually, before that stream, I ordered Ranger Vanguards, Clegane Brigands, and like Lannister Heroes box too. So.
Oh wow! So when did you find out about the patch? I still don't know entirely if Ranger Vanguard are amazing. At 7, the 4/5 is good.
Debatable, yeah.
But they're relying on ambush and outflank for everything, right? They rely on ambush and outflank.
It's an unboxing video. It's an unboxing
video. Bob, you'll have to tell us what's in there when you unbox it. It's it's a surprise about unboxing. Oh look, guys, it's a penny. No, I think you're muted, by the way, still, Bob. Give us that cellophane wrap noise. Where is it? There it is.
It would help if I wasn't muted.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've had this for a year now and never took it out of the plastic, so that makes me happy. This is partially what I wanted from a patch is actually being able to play a unit that I haven't touched.
Yep.
So,
But this is genuine first reactions, guys. This is the first time Bob has ever had his Ranger Vanguard in his hands.
Oh, you can't even. Oh, it's blurry.
There we go. How do they feel? How do they feel?
It feels good. You know, I'd like to thank Fabio and Michael Chanel for doing this for us. And no, I think that it's going to be a fun unit to play. I've already said you could, if you didn't want to take Cold Hands and you wanted to take Cold Hands attachment and throw it in them, they're a 7-point unit or an 8-point unit with intimidating presence, sentinel, outflank, and whatever
Ambush.
the one is.
Ambush.
Yeah, ambush.
Penny tokens for
And their
intimidating
4
presence is good.
defense.
Mhm.
Then you influence it with corn. You use Watcher on the Wall. You use swords. So now you're throwing 9 dice, moving at 8 with Sentinel. It's. I
Okay.
mean, it's pretty
Flame-
good, right?
Actually.
Flame men are back, baby.
So, one point, Kotan's cavalry attachment is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Why do we have both of those abilities for 1 point?
Because it's Night's
On
Watch.
cavalry.
Come on.
I'm actually okay. I am actually interested in this now. Like you sold me. That's almost good.
Mhm.
And with Relentless being killed,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's
Yeah, I can see it.
Corin
Just think about
Halfhand.
outflanking. I think about outflanking and having it be like a ranged unit. And
Having a
there's
stone
like-
thrower, right? And, you know, if they come
Yeah.
forward, you.
yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, no, it's just okay. You were planning on shooting me with swords at the beginning of the round, right? Well, you do that now, you're going to get charged in the flank by
Yeah.
Ranger Vanguard. You know, so with intimidating presence, so you're -2 +1 on your wound on the panic test, and you're becoming panicked when I charge you. So, I mean, I like it, but you
Yeah.
are sacrificing cold hands,
And it's like it's a subtle change, and it's good. Like I think here they did well, right? It was an unplayed unit completely, 1 armor increase and reworking outflank. Done. Unit will see play for sure.
100%.
I'm happy. I'm very happy.
What I like about it here now is that they are comparative to Hedge Knights. Whereas before they were just worse than Hedge Knights, there would be no point. They are now comparative, and they've got the Night's Watch moniker. You know, they get the benefit from the cards. There is a reason to play this unit, I think, now. I think you're pretty stoked for Ranger Vanguard. I am a bit disappointed that we haven't seen any changes to anything else in Night's Watch. I know Relentless has gone. I still think Hunters, comparatively as an infantry unit, are just leagues ahead compared to the Veterans and Swarm Brothers. I think Hunters are
I
still going to be.
was preparing myself. Yeah, I was preparing myself for Hunters to at least go to like at least a 4 attack on the melee, you know, or a 4 attack, even a 4 attack on the ranged. I wouldn't have liked that as much, but or I mean, even like take their defense to a 6 or something. They already suffer from traps. They already get countered like crazy from traps, but I don't know. I think something, because their win rate is pretty darn good compared to Sworn Brothers. I mean, I think I was just looking at Sworn Brothers, and they were like 110% pick rate, but they were only winning like 48% of their games or 47% of their games, whereas Ranger Hunters were like a 70% pick rate and winning like 54% or something like that. I was surprised. But then again, have you seen Ranger Hunters like without the boldness and courage? We really haven't.
No.
So.
And I think they got nerfed by the Watch Captain nerf a little bit.
100%. Yeah, they did. Yeah, I agree.
Indirectly.
Because then you're not getting the free movement and you're not getting the boldness and courage. So they get a lot of healing, but you can knock that rank off. Then they're only rolling 5 dice unless they have swords, and I'm surprised they didn't get nerfed. I'm also surprised like something like Shadow Tower Spearman didn't get a tiny buff either. But we can say that for a lot of other factions too. Some of their units that should have been buffed weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe that's a good point, because we discussed some changes already. Like the amount of changes. Are you like, is it what you expected? Is it not enough or more than you wanted to see?
There are less things in here than I thought a change. Like, what they've done is they've changed things universally, right? And then the universal change is what they're saying is changes to everything else. Whereas realistically, it's just universal rule changes. I do not think that the overall number of actual things changing hasn't changed that much. It's just rules change across the board.
We haven't got to how they've addressed mounts yet, which I think is what everyone was looking for.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see how far they take that.
Yes, which is what we're going to come to after these Night's Watch NCUs. So, Night's Watch NCUs, I am a little bit worried. Corrin has gone down from 6 to 5, and Donnell has gone down from 5 to 4. I think Donnell was playable at 5, but probably not good enough at 5. Donnell at 4 is very worthwhile taking as your second or third NCU.
They finally fixed Gilly.
They've finally fixed Gilly, except they haven't. Has anyone noticed the problem with Gilly?
I didn't read it. I just assumed they fixed it.
Ah. I say it's not a problem, but it's an interaction that people need to be very aware of.
Oh, it's start of the. Oh God.
It's start
quite
of friendly turn
friendly
to activate
turn.
Gilly. So you dodge any of your opponent's start of enemy turn triggers by using Gilly.
Yeah.
So there's no predictable maneuvers on preventing Gilly from going. There's nothing like that. It's a good thing. But yeah, it means your opponent.
That's a subtle buff then too.
Yeah, it's actually you can no longer respond only in what's the one? Influence? Not influence. I've completely forgotten the Lannister card that switches off abilities. That one anyway. That one would work, except you wouldn't normally use that on Gilly.
Wait, if that works, they get to activate something else. Wait, no.
Yeah,
Do they?
yeah, they would. Holy shit! Don't intrigue and subterfuge. Do not intrigue and subterfuge Gilly. You will lose. Holy shit, that would be amazing. I'll activate Gilly in my start of turn step. Oh, I turn off your abilities, but it's still activated in my start of turn step.
Someone also said you wouldn't be able to activate her last now. That's true.
Well, you can set Relentless, right? How that used to work.
Yeah, so I mean, if there's no turn left, then you can't activate her.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sun Diplomacy,
that's
you can never play that versus Night's Watch again.
You can, because Sun Diplomacy start of round, right? So.
Yeah, but it cancels the ability.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. Don't do that. Don't play Sand Diplomacy against Gilly. Holy shit, that's really dumb. That's actually so dumb.
Interesting.
Not 100% sure that's how it works, but.
So you say if you put her on the tactic zone that is Sand Diplomacy, you get her back, or what do you say?
No, you lose the ability, and the ability,
so
the rest of her text is do not activate another unit this turn, which is now gone, which means the activation part of your turn now starts.
It comes up.
So you can now activate. Holy shit, that's so dumb. Oh.
So another reason to just cut this card into half, right, and throw it away.
Oh, Martells are just absolutely raging. Not like who cares, but like.
Did Martells actually play Sand Diplomacy? I've only ever seen it discarded.
Not now. Sand Diplomacy doesn't work with snow. Sorry.
Well, this is why they killed Relentless.
Yeah, this is why
they had to
killed
kill Relentless for this, right? Because this doesn't conflict with Relentless. So if they kept Relentless, you could do both. This and Relentless.
Yep.
Right, makes sense.
There you
The
go.
reason they killed Relentless, of course.
Oh, what a dumb. That interaction is going to come up. I know that interaction is going to come up.
It's going to be glorious.
First activation of the turn. I will take swords and do an attack with Gilly. Haha, I'll weaken a unit. Yes, I'll now activate my unit and do an attack. Wait, it's my turn. No, it isn't. It's still my turn. Oh.
I tell you, these NCU changes, it's going to, yeah, they're really good, but it's actually going to have to make me think about what NCUs I take now as Night's Watch, you know?
Yep.
It lets me have a little bit more synergy, because Sam and Gilly are good, and Donald Noy's good, Corrin's good, like,
Offal's still good, you know, as well, you know, you still got Offal.
Right, yeah.
Amon's still
change,
fine.
right?
Yeah, no, they
do it.
The only one I'm not touching is Craster.
Yeah.
See, I'm just shocked that they buffed these and didn't do anything with Craster.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to say, Corrin at 5 is scary. Like, is he just auto include at this point? Like,
yeah. For me,
Potentially.
it would be.
But
Yeah,
the Watcher's Ended interaction is stupid anyway, and now it's in every game.
unless you're trying to get 8 activations.
Harder
you
to
can
get.
still
Yeah.
you can still get 8 activations with John, but not any other commander if you're running Khorne.
You kind of can, but you'd have to use like
To watch marshals. Yeah,
conscripts and like scorpions and stuff, and maybe it's only 1/6 or even only a 1 and 7 point unit at best.
Right. Yeah, you're not killing much with that.
No.
You know, I was running these the meme list at the neck ELO with a stone thrower and stuff, and you can like this went down 2 points now.
Yeah.
And you got a decent melee cav that you can outflank, right? And so they have to come to you. You will shoot them with your stone thrower, and you can outflank them on the way in.
Yep.
So maybe there's something, and you got 2 extra points to spend somewhere, so you don't have to use this Shadow Tower Spearman as well. Like I think I would consider it on a competitive level at least as a second list, something with War Machines and Ranger Vanguards.
I think
could work.
those War Machine lists do suffer to some stuff, but those War Machine lists are pretty
Sure.
grim into things like Fire and Blood, Here We Stand, and
Winds of Winter.
now Winds of Winter, yeah, because of the outflank steal first player combo in Winds of Winter is just stupid.
Either way, it was good before, right?
Yeah.
You can't overlook what I mentioned earlier too, where Khorne can influence the Vanguard.
Yeah, I agree.
And they could influence trackers. It works on ranged as well. So like I'm surprised he went down to 5 and didn't see the cavalry influence removed. So I mean, you might see crossbows with him now too, because they get +1 dice, you know. So
fuck that shit. You put this in John's unit of Ranger Hunters. You take horses. You charge with John's Hunters. You've now got 7 movement base. Potentially with Watcher, you 8 with rerolls, was fucking stupid. And you're rolling 8 dice, 9 dice. Swords come down 10 dice on the charge with John Hunters.
I've seen it. I've seen it in
way.
season 1. Yeah, so
that's I'm not going to sit here and say that's broken, because it has counters, and we've already seen those counters in the meta currently. Like, we already see the meta lists countering that kind of thing, but like, I have no desire to see that still exist in the game as being a powerful piece where you can just go, all right, so first thing I do in this round is I play this card that you can't interact with, I take horses, I charge you from like 10 inches away with rerolls, and now you're probably just dead because I'm comboing you with a double charge and shot. And sure, like, that would be like their main damage output for the turn, but they still haven't charged, they still haven't activated, swords are still open, you know, like, there's more coming, so you've got to do something about that now. And if they don't kill you, and they are positioning well, they're 6 inches away from what they charged at a minimum.
You forgot one other thing too. Donald Noy could let them
reroll,
not expend weakened tokens and reroll.
Yeah.
So like that, you used to counter Ranger Hunters with a weakened token, right? I mean, yeah, you would only be able to pick what you'd have to pick and choose which attack you use it on. But now you might not even be able to do that.
Yeah.
Oh God! Now I can hear the Night's Watch hate
flowing.
Dang it, Brett! Look what you did.
At least, like, I'm more comfortable with them doing this at maximum 8 instead of maximum 9.
Yes, like doing this at a 7 or an 8 activation list is counterable. Doing this at a 9 would have just been unbelievably powerful. Yeah. It's a good thing. I mean, let's do our ratings. I mean, Night's Watch for me, they are not doing that well overall, but they're the least affected, in fact the most buffed probably by the Warcry change. They are affected massively by Relentless change. For me though, Night's Watch are looking healthy, with options. Healthy. I'm saying up.
I'm gonna say it's kind of, yeah, I would say up, just most because of the Ranger Vanguard thing.
Yeah.
But We didn't see any competitive lists without a watch captain in it.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So that makes me like, it's kind of hard because like you're not going to have that boldness and courage crutch anymore if you aren't running the watch captain in 2 units, let alone just 1. So that's a side effect too of the relentless nerf is you're losing an activation, and if you're not going to actually run it, you're not getting boldness and courage anymore. And Night's Watch units fall off quick once you take a rank off. Like they go 7-5.
Yeah,
It's not 7-6, which is odd to me. But if you can get a rank off of them, especially I've so many times I've moved Ranger Hunters to attack and got trapped and lost all 4 wounds. And then I'm down a rank when I'm attacking.
Mhm.
So it's, I don't know. I think it's to be determined. They could shoot up, but they could stay. I don't know. I don't even know how to predict it because it's so hard to tell because they relied so much on Relentless previously.
I think their activation count's gone down. I agree.
Yep.
I am second guessing my own ranking here. I do think that the other lists that they've got, all of the other lists they used that weren't Relentless based, got better. They had cavalry. They now have cavalry, which they didn't used to have. Basically, you just didn't. That were any good. That's now changed.
2 armies that didn't really have cavalry, a fast cavalry unit, got one.
Yeah. I do think they're going to be fairer at the 8 activations. I do think that's going to be fairer. They can run this Glass Cannon John list, which I do think is Glass Cannon as all hell, by the way. And I think it's fine that they're running a Glass Cannon at 8, because that's kind of where you can run Glass Cannon. The problem is if a Glass Cannon at 8 is going to play around the mechanics of the game, which you already know, the first turn, last turn, the interactions, tactics board charges, that kind of side of it. And then it comes down to who's the better Glass Cannon or who's the biggest tank. Which is basically the current Baratheon versus Night's Watch stare down, basically, where at the moment Baratheon is just about able to tank Night's Watch at same activations, and the way that Night's Watch beat them is out activating them, and that's how they beat them. Even
then, it was tough sometimes, to be honest.
Yeah.
And unless you could happen to get 2 attacks off with a Watch Captain Sworn Brother unit.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can't even do that. So it's, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I think even though, I wouldn't also I don't know how to predict whether they shoot up or the decline in power level, but I think for the faction and the faction identity, that are good changes because it brings out, in my mind at least, the Ranger type style that is now more viable. Also, I think Ilya was pointing it out in the chat, the 1-point infantry attachment from Cold Hands with Outflank and Pathfinder, on Ranger Hunters in the rear now, maybe there's something going there. So, and I think this whole identity gets another aspect now as well to explore, and that they don't get to 9 activations anymore, really, which is good. That's what shouldn't be about activation spam.
No.
In the end. So I think it's good changes overall.
Yeah, I think you could see people experimenting more with Hardened Ranger again, unless it's a big cavalry meta, you could see Benjen attachment as well in infantry with the Sentinel and the ambush in Ranger Hunters, just for that little extra 6-inch movement, could be 7-inch movement. I'm excited for the changes personally because I was so bored with list building, and now I can actually do stuff. But I still think it's going to be tough to survive if we have to run 7 activations.
Yeah,
it's even with the healing that they have. I don't know. Some people still hate them. I know that they will, but that's the nature of Night's Watch. It seems like.
Yeah.
And they could be a good counter against the new Martells, right? Because Martells didn't, they didn't touch Martells at all.
Yeah.
And they are still very good. and you don't want to engage them in melee. But now you can, the War Machine strategy is more legit now. You can bring something in their rear where I don't care about your set for charge and stuff if I charge you in the rear. So
Especially Ulla set for charge, you can go and pick him off with the supply aid. That's the
yeah,
big
it's
one,
like
isn't it?
so. Yeah. So maybe they will keep them in check.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here thinking about all kinds of outflank strategy and stuff with Ranger.
Which is cool, right?
Yeah, that's exciting to me. And
John, look, you should be running John with outflankers as well, because you can John outflank in the rear, take horses for a charge. Happy days.
Yeah, you have to force them. They have to force them to take the horse, and then they're turning around. And if you have something that you can make it impossible for them to turn around, like they have to make a choice. So it's definitely interesting. It's a new style of play for me with Night's Watch.
Ilya's saying there, did you guys talk about the Relentless Loop? Yes. It's just silly. I don't know why they've done that again. I don't know why the new Relentless isn't an order. I get it from a thematic point, but I don't know. To me,
Or
it just
a once per turn or something.
Yeah. All right, Jacob. Any final thoughts? You've been pretty quiet on this front with Night's Watch.
Yeah, I don't want to the point of the Night Watch is they do really powerful things, and there's not a lot of them. We're a lot closer to that than we were before. I don't like Corin and Watches Ended with 5. That's stupid. I don't like when my units get one shot and then I just lose, which is sort of leaning a lot more into like I have one big charge with all of the dice and tokens, and I free something with Corin, and if I win that round, then I win, and otherwise I've got nothing left. Which is at least new and exciting, but not particularly fun, I don't think.
Yeah, that's how I feel playing Night's Watch sometimes, is especially when I had the Watch Captain. It was like, okay, if I lose this unit with the Watch Captain, the game's basically over.
Yeah.
And I won't feel that way as much anymore, but it's still similar in a way.
Cool. So Night's Watch staying the same or improving? Again, we need to really see the whole landscape, but overall it was a pretty it's positive. I mean, Night's Watch players are happy. Night's Watch players are jumping for joy pretty much. Even with the Relentless change, I think Night's Watch players are happy because it's a bit of bad with quite a lot of positives, right? And that's a good thing. Not like Lannister where everything was great. Yeah. All right, should we move on to the big one now? The big one, because this next paragraph, and I will tell people, if people I genuinely haven't read this next section at all. I have no idea. I've not looked at any of the Free Folk stuff whatsoever. We'll have a look at Free Folk. And look, I am led to believe they've killed Mance, but we'll see. So, led to.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Hey, I would be happy. Change to outflank. Remove rally point, added boisterous charisma, and the king is dead. Okie dokie. I'm guessing this is the old Joffrey effect.
New Joffrey.
So, what we got?
Oh, look at Sir Jacob. He's gonna cry.
Why? What's that?
They've removed rally point, which is pretty understandable.
Yeah, that's fine.
Boisterous charisma is an odd ability, and a 2-point panic tech.
Like, we're a horde army. This is not a horde piece. What's this? He's the king of the horde army, and he's absolutely terrible at being a horde army.
Do people think this is enough?
Horrifically, yes.
Definitely yes.
For Mance, yes. For Faramir, no.
I mean, why the 2VP? That's odd, right? Like, they removed it from...
Okay.
They removed it from Joffrey?
Look, I'm going to say this once and once again. In meta Free Folk, how many times did you lose Mance, Jacob?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, okay.
Never. This is literally unimportant. The actual important thing is removing Rally Cry.
Yes.
You now can't switch Mance off, basically. Basically, all
I
the
don't care
cards.
about boisterous charisma.
No.
right?
I also don't care about boisterous charisma that much, but it does mean you can't do a lot of things with that unit, right? It is a subtly important card.
As before, right? He stays in trappers or whatever, and
Yeah,
is
probably.
where he is. It doesn't care whether he's there because like there's no rally point, and you want him kind of close because you still have counter strategy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think the difference is there is no there's no morale bubble anymore. So yeah, you didn't really lose him in games because people weren't able to get through that 5 morale. Now it's 7 morale raiders.
5 morale was the 2. It was the 3
3,
morale
you mean.
Tormund. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Now they might be able to fight through that a little bit.
Yeah. Again, like fundamentally, people didn't get through the raiders, but the only people that really affected were Night's Watch because they couldn't kill them fast enough with the double attacks, because you can kind of protect against it, and Drogo because it slowed Drogo's ability to one-shot things down. As far as I'm concerned, this is not big enough nerf. I think Mance is still completely playable.
I want to see what the rest of the faction
This attachment alone is really not enough for me to stop playing Mance tomorrow. And I'm saying this genuinely. I don't think I will lose games with this commander in place of the old one.
Yeah, because his cards did not change.
His cards did not change. Yeah, that's a big thing. But
yeah,
I wouldn't underestimate the losing of the morale bubble. I'm not sure how the implications work there. So you still have all the buddies and stuff. Like I think they will still be very good, but
okay.
I don't know.
Now, I do know a little bit about, obviously, the Free Folk Tactics cards, which is the next thing we're going to look at, because I brought these up briefly earlier, and I, of course, looked at them. There's Too Many is being reduced to only the -1 for Panic.
This is huge.
Yeah, this is a big change.
They also lose offensive power.
Yeah, they've lost a massive offensive card.
This was the best card of the game, and now it's bad.
I was surprised to see that it wasn't just like Hear Me Roar, where it's just +1 damage. It's just flat +1 damage, and then leave everything else.
This is basically pointless now. You don't use it. You use it when it comes up to be like, there you go, boom. Just whatever. I don't
draw it early, you're discarding it, right? So
yeah, if you draw it turn 1, you just discard it. Fuck it, it's not important.
You're not using Mance to go get this card anymore.
No. But you will go and get the Endless Horde. The Endless Horde change is no longer bring on a free unit of raiders. Thank fuck, because that was dumb as shit. It's now a quest card. You attach it to a friendly infantry unit, attach it to the end of the game. When that unit is destroyed, you place 1 Free Folk Raiders with a raid leader attached to it, fully within long range of a friendly table edge. Like, this is, I hate it, because I hate all the quest cards, right? If it comes out early, this is really good. If this comes out late game, it's a pointless waste of fucking shite. This has no effect on the game in rounds 5 and 6, basically. And all quest cards are like that. I'm not complaining here that Endless Horde is bad and I'm sad about Endless Horde. My point is, quest cards didn't get changed, and quest cards just suck. Like, they're just bad cards in design. I always thought that, because they're so draw dependent.
Yeah, and that is an argument for what you said about Mance, because he still has long plan.
Yep.
You know.
You just draw this turn around.
With long plan now.
You just get
Endless Horde.
You go and get Endless Horde still. Yeah, because
you
want it out of the deck early. You want it out of the deck rather than you want a better card.
And you can then sacrifice some raiders, because if I'm spoiling here, they keep insignificant, you know.
Yeah, there's no change to raiders.
No change to raiders.
Let's say. But that's not exciting, right? Like before, it was like I draw long horde, I play Endless Horde around 1, cool, I win. Now it's like I draw Endless Horde, I draw a long plan, okay, I'll play it because it's not particularly good. Like it's not amazing, right? It's probably the best thing to do, but it's not great. And then I play this, and it's fine, and then we carry on. But like Mance, Torment, There's Too Many, Endless Horde, which were all broken, are now fine. And
Abiscius says, it's really funny. he's going to be very sad when I tell him this. I'm happy because Euron can still use Endless Horde. No, he can't, Hibiscus, because Euron says specifically as soon as the card leaves his hand, it goes to the discard pile. So that's after resolving its play, which means you would attach this to your friendly unit, then it's no longer in your hand, so it goes back to the discard pile. So you cannot get Raiders with Euron. That interaction is now gone. So yeah, sad days. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the Endless Horde needed changing. I do think that. I'm not going to mince my words and say it was too powerful. It was. I don't like this card now. I just, yeah.
Well, they took the best 2 cards in the deck by far and made them meh at best.
I mean,
which is fine. You
I
get
think,
enough of action, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think, aren't you maybe a little bit too negative about Endless Horde? It's still like, still replacing a unit, and you can be, like, you can really put Raiders in the face of someone now if you have your long plan. It's not that bad, right? And you get raid leaders, guys. Raid leaders.
You're gonna go use it to.
leaders.
You're gonna go use it to bog down a heavy cav unit for a round or 2, and then it's just gonna respawn.
It's still spawning unactivated. You have a free raid leader. You don't have to pay for any raid leaders now if you don't want to, because you can sacrifice it.
I think you still would. Like,
it's not a bad card.
Okay, so you gotta remember your opponent. Okay, the funny thing here is you can have a unit about to die to swords, then be like, haha, I get a free one back, which is a bit fun.
Except if they gilly
this unit is going to sit on objectives, right? When it comes off.
Except if they gilly you, right? Because gilly would come down before this card comes down, so you can't even.
Yes.
There you go. Gilly counters Endless Hordes.
Exactly. I don't particularly care about this raid leader. They're just sitting on objectives anyway. The way you beat the normal free folk list is by not, well, I would say not attacking into Mance, but Rally Point is dead now. Like, the way you approach the game, I think, changes.
Yeah, I'm not looking to build lists in the same manner that I'm looking to build lists in, but yeah, I'm not. This is the funny thing. I'm not entirely sure that these changes are enough, and I know some people say, and I have actually got one major concern still, which is, I know where Charles is the listening chat, where one thing that I would consider is I'm looking at the 10 activation 7 raider list now, maybe it's with a couple of mixer trappers in there, and I am thinking that list still functions the same way without ramps.
Yeah.
It's insignificant still. Like, I still think that list is going to be commonplace, and I have said this every time anyone has spoken to me about Free Folk. I've said it on Tourney Ground. They need to remove that list from being an option that people take, because that is literally the antithesis of fun. I don't get points for killing you, and I've just put 140 odd wounds on the board, and what the fuck are you going to do about it?
That's still viable.
And that's still very viable.
It didn't change traps, and we might even see more trappers, like maybe 3 traps now, because we will come to chariot changes.
Yep. Which, to be fair, is going back to harking back to the days of early 2021 for me, early 2021 season 1, before chariots were released, and when I was playing triple traps then, admittedly with the Mance bubble, of course. Okay.
To be fair, like, at least now you don't get points for killing free folk, but you kill definitely more now. Like, you will, maybe the fun aspects will be a little bit going on.
You made your opponent sad.
My opponent is now more sad.
I don't think that list can play Mance Commander anymore, right? Because
but maybe it doesn't need to. That's actually the point. Like, you can try and steer Commander. Oh, you one-shot me? Final strike, fuck you.
I think...
yeah.
There are more exciting changes, guys.
Yes, I'm much more interested in what they made better than what survives what they made worse, to be honest.
Yeah, so... Attachment-wise, I know it seems crazy, Ding Dong, the king is dead. I still don't think Mance is completely unplayable. I may eat my words on that one, but I still am thinking how I would build lists, knowing what other people have got. So, other things we've seen. Okay, units. Cave Dweller Savages have removed of changes to frenzy swings, not removed it. That's just removed their attack profile. There you go, done. Right, so they're berserkers. Cool.
They no longer take. They no longer take.
They no longer take wounds. That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
That's when we say that's like a positive change, I would look at that and just be like, I didn't consider them before as even existing, because those auto wounds. I've never. Interesting fact for anybody listening, if you've never known this, I've never lost a unit of Cave Dweller Savages to an enemy attack. They've only ever killed themselves. So yeah, I'm glad this is gone. It was a dumb mechanic.
Good.
These are probably going to see some play now, I think.
They are still 5 points, but
Yep.
That better.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Sundering might be 8 on 2s, in a dream world, but yeah.
8 on 2s.
It's a source of Sundering.
I love how we're like 8 on 2s. That sounds amazing, and then we've just been taught like 10 or 11 dice on like 3+ with rerolls or whatever. And no weakened expenditure, and we're like, that's pretty good. Mind you, this is 5 points, and that's like a 14-point combo or something stupid like that. So, yeah, cool. I mean, yeah, it's good. One's just changes the raw cries. The Frozen Shore, Bear, Riders, and Chariots. So yeah, so this is dumb for 2 reasons, right? Chariots going to 5 makes sense. I've got no problem with that. That makes sense. Like, that balance is a thing. The Frozen Shore Hunters, I am actually going to sit here and say that this is incorrect. Range corrected to short range implies that it was wrong when they were printed. That was a mistake and that they meant it to be short range. The word corrected implies that.
They're admitting it, right?
Yeah, they're admitting it. I genuinely don't think they made a mistake. I genuinely think they thought they'd release them at long range.
I mean,
Like-
everybody bought them, because
Yeah,
what a great unit.
I still don't have any.
That's gonna be hilarious. I just spent money on this unit. It's like buying Ranger Vanguard last version.
Like, but it's such a dumb thing, because like everyone looked at them and were like, these guys should be short range thematically and everything like that. These should be short range. It's just a mistake that they're long range. But like, how do you get to the point where you've printed a card like that and it's been released and it's a mistake? Like, that's not a mistake. I don't believe that was a mistake. I genuinely believe that they released them at long range and everyone went, that's pretty dumb. And they went, oh yeah, we should probably change that, guys.
I'm unconvinced they have a feedback cycle that short, to be completely honest.
No, there was a lot of Facebook hate, right? Every single post you saw for the best part of several weeks on Facebook was, remember, they're intercontinental ballistic missiles attached to people's arms.
Yeah, big source of memeing is gone now. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad, right? I'm actually glad that they've changed them. By the way, I'm not complaining about the change. I'm complaining that they've tried to hide the fact they made a fucking big mistake.
Since I know there are some pre-folk players around, like, what do you think about 5-point hunters with short range?
Warcry's gone and dead. Hunters are Frozen Shore doesn't really matter for affiliation wise outside of Great Walrus. I'm interested in playing Great Walrus because of the bear change, which we haven't seen.
But Hardened is dead, and he had Hardened.
Yeah,
That was the only thing about him.
still got battle endurance though, so like.
His battle endurance is good though.
Or
Like,
doesn't
did
really...
they went from 0 to hero for you, or from hero to 0, or like, are they still a good unit?
Oh, the Hunters.
Hunters.
I wasn't playing them before. Aren't they just trappers, but worse?
They are a source of weakened tokens, very reliable.
And hard to
Yeah,
target now
well, not
without-
anymore. Not
with-
short
with-
range.
With Warcry not being as great, I still think Torment will get play, but because of the stalwart. But
So, like, the weakened at short range means that they're not getting the weakened in before the Alpha Strike anymore, realistically.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is huge.
yeah,
But yeah, this unit just evaporates too, because it's a 5+7+, it's Raiders, right? Without the +1 morale, or +1 wound, sorry. It's just evaporating at the same rate as Raiders is evaporating. It doesn't
And
prevent...
it's not insignificant.
It's not insignificant. It doesn't prevent the Alpha Strike. From a competitive angle, I am really looking at this unit saying, what does this unit bring me that I care about in the long run? And the truth of the matter is it probably is nothing. I'm probably looking at this unit and saying, Raiders are probably just going to give me more value. And yet again, like
And trappers.
Yeah, like I think-
There's both a support unit.
Yeah.
One's a point cheaper.
I think people might underestimate when I talk a lot about free folk. I talk a lot about how I feel about them, and they are OP, and they have been OP and too strong under Mance this last patch. But like, I played Harmer in 1.6 and the Harmer Steer list and stuff like that. These are all lists that, as a free folk player, like we agree and we play and they're good. But like, a lot of free folk players do want variety. I think, Daniel, Jacob definitely match me here. Bob, even, you're dabbling in free folk that you've done more recently. Like, we want variety. We want to be able to take the big monsters and for them to feel competitive. And yet again, like, they've gone unchanged. This is the thing, we're not taking giants because they're not good, right? We're not taking giants because other stuff were better. The simple truth is, why would we take giants when they just don't synergize with anything? And they haven't solved that problem. Like, for me, I'm still looking at mammoths and giants and being like, yeah, sure, they're cool, interesting, fun monsters to take, but I'm still not conceptually list building lists like Lannisters, neutrals. Other players are looking at an 8 activation list saying, actually, I might want to run an 8 activation list. I'm still saying my power comes from hitting 9.
I mean, you can hit 9 now.
Of course you can. Yeah, you still can. You can hit 10.
Yeah, you can hit 10.
You can still hit 10
The
comfortably.
giant and mag now.
Fuck it, you can hit 11 with Varamir. Like, these aren't good things, I'll say. Like, this isn't a good thing that we can do this. My point being is that, like, that's the entire game plan.
I'm still torn on if I want to take Night's Watch or Free Folk to Adepticon. Like I don't know. And it's still a fun factor for me as well.
Yeah.
And I can build lists. List building is still more fun with Free Folk than it is with Night's Watch. And that's my thoughts. Yeah, sure, I can add Ranger Vanguard now and use some attachments. That's it is what it is. I was trying to play around with the Frozen, the whatever the new unit is that was long range and switched to short range.
The Hunters. They're called Hunters.
Yeah, the Hunters.
Everything OP is just called Hunter. Just remember that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And I was building a list with the Walrus commander, and I'm like, okay, he doesn't really do it. Like, why even bother with the Frozen Shore affiliation with them when the only thing it affects really is if they get attacked and they can reroll their defense and panic dice. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a ranged unit, a short range unit. The battle endurance isn't going to really help them at all. Yeah, I don't know. Still up in the air on if I want to do Night's Watch or Free Folk. I got to pick one soon because I got to practice.
I'm not just being angry because I still think Free Folk are going to be very good. I do think Free Folk are going to not be as powerful. Obviously, Mance is going to... I think a lot of people are going to lose a lot of games with Mance now, and his rating is going to come, like, plummeting downwards. But I personally don't think that Free Folk have... I still think Free Folk will be potentially contentious at the top. And being able to compete with other top builds. Which is not personally where I wanted them to be. I wanted them to be mid-table best to lower table, because, it's better that way, I think, for everybody. But...
all factions, right? Tom with neutrals, Mikhail with Greyjoys. They're still competitive.
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
definitely getting that. I've not been a part of the "oh my god, Martells are going to break everything" crowd for the last couple of months.
Me neither, yeah.
I'm slightly concerned because the cards are just so good, and Ilaria is just so good, and maybe Doran has a couple more things down.
I was at first, and then I started actually taking an approach of figuring out how to beat them versus saying they're amazing, and then I figured out how to beat them.
I think that's the problem, though, isn't it? Is that you figure out how to beat them, and you go, this isn't too bad, but then you go and play the Martells for a while, and you go, oh, I know how to beat this list, and now I know how to protect against beating that list.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's... I mean, on the plus side, the Frozen Shore Bear riders are now not a complete...
Yeah, what are they now?
They're not a meme, right? They have charging volley. These guys are.
That helped a lot.
Yeah,
But then
you
you're
are-
sitting there still with 6 dice. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
no,
Well,
man.
that's enough.
Fuck it. Great Walrus and Fens, couple of units of these, steer NCU, happy fucking days. Take the swords, charge off the swords, maul someone into death, put battle endurance on for
Cavalry.
rerolls and crit blow. You're eating people alive. Baller.
OP.
Make your own flayed men. This is like a build your bear, but build your own flayed men, right? This is.
Cavalry charging volley is weird because you don't particularly want to charge off swords with cavalry. That's
Why
what charging
not?
volley is good for.
Yeah.
Because that's not the point of cavalry. If you're charging off swords, you're treating them like an infantry unit.
Yeah, but the key here is you don't have to do a last activation charge anymore and risk anything like that. You can do an opening activation charge with steer swords or whatever and do something there because
Yeah.
you can reposition with the maneuver, march, whatever you want to do. You can get
Blocking
yourself into like a
swords.
rear position and then charge off swords.
Yeah, I guess. They're better. Like, I'm not saying they're not better. I still don't want to play them for 8, I don't think.
Fair enough. I mean, I probably don't either, but we'll see.
How about Mac the Mighty, guys?
Well, let's have
There
a
was a-
little look.
Card change, right? Yeah.
You guys, I gotta get going.
No worries,
You
Bob.
guys have fun discussing everything else. This was fun. I'll watch the rest of this afterwards. But yeah,
No worries,
Mag
bud.
the Mighty is interesting. So
Your final thoughts on Free Folk before you go. Your final Free Folk thoughts.
obviously, I think they went down a little. I think they came down to earth a little bit. You know, which is good for the game. You know, I still think they're going to be competitive because of the activations they can get,
Mhm.
and the insignificant. I mean, an insignificant. We talked about it. An insignificant unit bogging something down and being able to come right back with a raid leader inside of it is really good. So
Hear this man.
Right. Thank you very much for your time, Bob. Go and
no
see your
problem. I'll see
family
you guys.
and work stuff. So yeah.
Yep. Thanks.
Cheers.
See you, Bob.
Bye.
Sorry. When we get to this, I'm going to be very excited about Black Tide Chosen. That's so cool.
I know, right? I will have to briefly fix Jacob's face because Jacob's face is now broken. Bring Jacob back.
Your reaction, Jacob, was it like reading what they did to Mac, or was it reading?
Black Tide Chosen entirely.
Tide Chosen,
I recently
okay.
picked up Greyjoys, and I'm finally excited.
I haven't read it, so I'm trying to find Mag. Mag does not appear to be on the changelogs.
He's
get
now
a
5
copy.
points. He is now 5 points instead of 9, which is a slight point reduction, you know.
What? No.
Right.
You're making that up. It's not on the changelog, is it?
No,
Where the fuck is that? Is it in
Guys.
is it in attachments or?
I don't know
well,
where it is.
Is it
It's in the
special
app, I don't
cards,
know.
right? It's his special cards.
Special cards. Yeah,
It's-
that's one
It's his
only card.
chieftain. We're saying Commander Mag is 4 points less.
Yes, we are. That's what I was referring to.
Okay, he's broken. Like right here. Like I was already saying, Mag might be good now. He was kind of good before. Cool. Right,
I mean, he was
back on
not.
top. Let's
To be
go.
fair, Jacob, Commander Mag was not good before. He was pretty garbage. But
He
like,
was overtly playable, I think.
yeah, in his own bizarre way. If people didn't bring a counter list, you just used to meme on people and be like, "Lol, you're not ready for this." If people bought counter lists, you were pretty sad. But
Yeah.
this is List Chicken 101. This is fucking stupid as shit, man.
There was also a
Um,
change to one of his tactics cards.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Well, on the changelog there was maybe. Oh, it was this.
No, it's
Chieftain of the
this,
Giants.
yeah,
is a
Yeah,
chieftain
special.
card.
Yeah, that's his, yeah.
Right. Oh, okay, hang on. So list building with Mag is weird because there's nothing in it, right? Like the points don't add up. You know how?
Right.
So you just take the normal list with the third NCU. It's no 9 activations. It's
Yeah, it's 10
3.
activations. You can have like Mech, a Giant, Trappers, Raiders with Raid Leader, the full Varamir pack, and 3 NCUs.
The old list was Mag 1/1 Giant, all the animals, 2 NCUs.
So he's
Yeah,
our
1/1 is house
replacement.
cards, right?
You
with
still, you,
Warcry,
you, you still,
keep
you
it-
still take 1/1 because you haven't got any token play otherwise, right? Like,
Yeah.
you still
I
take
mean,
1/1.
or you go to 10, like Lux said.
Maybe.
But that's a bold change, right?
That is
Reducing
a
4 points.
That's a bold change, Cotton. That is a bold
Mhm.
change.
I think this will be the. It's so easily beatable, but it's also really good. I think this will be. I think you'll play this in tournaments and win with it.
There's still this equivalent kind of there's too many in the deck. We have to remember.
Yeah, because you've still got Monsters of the North, right? And it synergizes
Yes.
with every single. So in this particular list, the K-12 Savages would be Mag. So you got Mag, 1/1 Giant, Varamir, Shadowcat, Wolfpack, 3 NCUs.
Yep.
I almost want to put Bear Riders in over 1/1.
Yeah, that you could.
Yeah.
I mean, all the giant cards are sad, right? There's Last of Their Kind. There's Chieftain's Orders,
Yeah.
which is a skip anyway. There's one more.
I'm gonna see him because he's not commander. Maybe. I'd have to think about that a lot in terms of honing that list, but I do believe that there's a list there with Mag now.
Could be.
Especially given that the counters are running like 9 activations against you and 8. You're going to be running more into. I can already sense that people are going to run a lot more 7s and 8s, specifically 8s. And I think that Mag can compete with an 8 where he used to never be. He was a 7 activation list, right? Basically, to make him viable.
Eight.
You
Eight
could
with
make him
Varamir,
8. Yeah, 8 with Varamir, yeah. But now you can make him 9 in a world of 8s. It might be too good.
I'm on board.
Oh dear. Dear.
Mm.
Especially with Harden nerf as well. Directly impacts
Yep.
Mag.
True.
Wolf existing counters things like Shield Wall, Hardened, set for charge.
Does it beat set for charge though?
Yes,
I'm not actually sure it does.
Because you're engaged in the flank by the time that set for charge would work.
Which is when you're successfully charged.
Correct.
Okay.
Because you're engaged in the flank because you align for the engage in the flank first before set for charge procs.
Okay.
So you're engaged in the flank.
Wasn't sure about.
Yeah, so the wolf can absolutely make a mess of.
Yep.
I mean, the wolf's ridiculous against Martells. I was already teching that in for Martell matchups in this particular tile list, but a completely different list archetype I was memeing with. But yeah, yeah, that might be too good.
That's my fear as well.
Yeah.
I drafted that. I was excited with my Mag Commander before. That's great.
Happy days.
People want play giants, right? That's what people keep saying is they come to Free Folk and they want to put all the monsters on the table. And it's like, no, you're just playing trappers and raiders. And now it's like, oh, I'm gonna smash Mag in your face and you'll die.
Mm-hmm. And you probably run Varamir as your second list because Varamir is probably too good still. So you still run Varamir as your first list or your main list, and you run a Mag list with Varamir animals as your second list, and there you go, 2 lists of Varamir's presence existing, meaning it breaks it, right? Mance was strong. Varamir was the problem.
I'm not sure. I think Steer or maybe even Mance just playing infantry style. Because I'm worried if you have a Varamir and a Mag, there's one list that beats both of the tech to both of those is roughly the same. And then other lists can afford to have a tech list against you.
Yeah, you probably
want to have one beefy list, right, where you have like 100 runes, this kind of style.
Yeah.
You want something that says if your opponent is 8 activations, you win.
Yeah.
And I don't think Mag over Varamir kind of does that, I guess. Yeah.
Maybe. We do talked about the Lightbringers and Melisandre change into Free Folk. Just got better. The spread panic is going to be a lot more damaging into the Stannis side stuff. But yeah, that'll be about it. All right then. Free Folk are coming down. Don't think they're coming down far.
Yeah, so they're still competitive for the top.
Yeah.
For sure.
There we go. Get rid of that one. So, we will move on to Baratheons as the next release faction. Okie dokie. Davos changes to Outflank, yep. Eldon changes to Arden, yep. Loras Tyrell changes to Expert Duelist, yep. So there's bugger alls happening in Baratheons. Champions of the morale worsens from 5 to 6. attack dice drop from 7/5 to 6/4.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
That's sad.
You can buy Iron Resolve for 1 point now.
Kappa. Kappa. That's
I-
fantastic.
Don't want to play Champions of the Stag anymore.
Remember, though, the comparative flayed men option is worse as well.
That's the problem. But Renly side hates this. Stannis side is probably fine.
Stannis side probably runs flayed men anyway because the IP is quite important for the Stannis side comboing off IP.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't think Stannis side wants to run champions now. I still think Renly will because I still think the Renly Elden side stuff just makes it very tanky because it's still, the 6 morale is still there. You don't have any other options. You don't have other options at cavalry though, because the Rider of the High Garden are a piece of shit because you can't get activations up.
Yeah, exactly.
So you probably don't change the current meta. In fact, you probably don't
Yeah.
change the current meta Elden list at all. You run exactly the same list. It's just worse. Like, it's just a worse list.
Yeah, there are no really. Yeah, I don't see the options either where they should go to.
I do think that there's some. I've said this all the time, right? I'm a massive fan of Renly 2. I think Renly 2 Lord Paramount is great bants, great fun, bit of a meme to run. I do think there's options with him and Brienne and bouncing with Thornwatch and stuff like this, but like it's a 7 activation list, and it still gets blown up by enemy cavalry if they target certain units. So like, yeah, but I do think there's stuff like that with memes. I also think new Renly is not as bad as people thought. He's not good, and by God, don't take his Kingsguard. But new Renly's got some nice things.
I
For
still
me-
think
Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
the first Renly is the best Renly.
Renly 1, best Renly. My
exactly.
first love.
I mean, he's really like his awesome card. We're removing all the tokens is now bad because Warcry is dead.
I really remember when you did this to me in a game first time. I really do remember. I was like,
I remember Larks playing Lannisters, and somewhere over round 2, he has like 6 tokens on all of my units, and
Yeah.
I just get rid of them all.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Brilliant.
He's playing Lannisters now, so he won't be able to get any tokens out.
Exactly. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like he's far better than the other 2 Renlys. We'll say.
To me, the Champion of the Stag nerf is okay. I don't care really because I would always go 2 Dragonstone Nobles against 1 Champion of the Stag. Always. Like
Oh, you're a man after my own heart, aren't you? Everyone else is like sat there raging about Champions of the Stag are unkillable. Ah! And then we're sat there as like, who runs Champions of the Stag? That's so shit.
no, but because it brings you up to 8 activations. That's
I
it.
know, right?
That's
It
more
is.
important.
It is.
These ends are very, very good and versatile units. So maybe we will see them more on Stannis side. That's good. I don't know. Like, don't they do still the thing? Like, I mean, Baratheons didn't need a nerf for sure, but on the other hand, like, I don't know. What about Queensman?
Yeah, what's this Queensman change?
I think they can't heal anymore. They only draw 1 card now.
Oh, Baratheon
token.
Justice.
Oh,
Cycling
I think-
Justice. Ugh.
don't care. I mean, I don't think Queensmen were that great before. I mean, I guess they're fine. They were fine, but conviction was the good part.
I can kind of understand why people didn't want the dumb, like, I have 2 Queensmen and they just, like, heal each other off the rest of the game. I can guess why that combo wanted to be broken. Because it wasn't, again, it was not too strong, but, like, interactions on stuff like Here We Stand and Fire and Blood just meant that 2 units of Queensmen were basically unkillable on those game modes, and it just, I mean, the problem here is, right, these game modes just fucking suck ass. Here We Stand is a bit more redeemable, but, like, Fire and Blood's just a fucking terrible game mode. And I really mean that. It's just shit. The design is so bad because it plays away from the design of everything else. It is not a pitched battle. Like, I actually think you could add a pitched battle scenario where there are no extra rules. You just get 2 objectives, or maybe 3 objectives to make it not even. 1 in the middle, 1 12 inches to the left, 1 12 inches to the right. There you go. 3 objectives, have a big fight. No extra scoring objectives. You know what I mean? That would be enough for a Fire and Blood-esque scenario. Because 12 inches away means range units still consist of the fight while holding objectives and things. You make a melee. It's a bit like Clash, but without the commander focus. That's a very easy, simple, introductory scenario for learners as well to the game. No special objective rules, nothing. You control this, you gain points. You fight things, you gain points. There aren't rules that you'll forget from end of round scoring. But no, Fire and Blood, Here We Stand, still exist in the same way that they do, and they're still both just shit. Yeah, I don't know.
I was hoping for game mode changes. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, maybe we can address this, right? Because we are only talking about unit and faction changes. We are not talking about game mode changes. We are not talking about core mechanics, terrain, whatever changes. So that was a little bit disappointing for me, if I'm honest.
I will say this. I was going to say it at the end, but we brought it up now.
Sorry.
We've got over 100 people. We've had over 100 people for this entire stream, by the way. So there's 100 people out there watching 3 madmen and Bob, because Bob's not mad. He's actually got a life. Look at him. He's not here anymore. 3 madmen talk about patches and stuff. Like, well done on you, 100 people. But also, you should probably go to a clinic because you're probably also mad. Right, not going to mince my words. Haven't already. This is a year's worth of work. Now,
yeah.
I know that I don't work in games design. I know that I don't test games. I'm not involved in the playtesting, anything like that. But if I was producing for one of my projects this for a year's worth of work, I'm 99% sure my boss would fire me.
I mean, one could say that they think that all the other things are in the right place, so there's no need to change, which is something I would disagree with.
Yeah, I agree.
But
yeah.
There's something what, if I want to interpret it in a positive way, I would read it this, because that tells me that they think the game is in a right spot, and you have to adjust just the little things. But I'm not disagreeing with you that I would definitely have expected way more than this overall.
So, to be fair, some of the most recent releases have had an impact on the game, right? Like Varamir.
Yeah.
Like Hunters. Like something that's not in Free Folk. Martels. Like, that's the other ways they change the game by releasing new powerful things. And they have been doing that. But not particularly well.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what's clear to say is that what they have done is changed everything that people have complained about, and this is what the overall overarching theme of this balance has been. Like, and this is actually something that is a positive thing, but also where I'm slightly skeptical, which is they've just changed things that people have complained about.
It's like one half, right, of the picture. I think yesterday you said like the low-hanging fruit. That's nice. I want to have it, right? But I also want something more interesting, something more creative. And yeah, there are so many. If you're in love with the game and you start seeing so many potentials that you could develop in this game, and I feel like they slept on those, and that's not making me happy, at least. Even though I'm hyped, there are great changes. I'm very eager to explore them and stuff, but I mean, we have to remember it has to carry us probably for another year, right? So yeah. And I'm not sure whether this is enough.
I do agree there. Randall says it's a maintenance patch, not a love letter to the future of the game. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. There's a lot here, there's a lot here that's gone unchanged. And there's a lot here at the bottom end. Like, there's a lot here at the bottom end of the scale that hasn't changed. Like, Mountains Men are still goddamn awful. Anyway, we'll keep on going on. But Brathians...
Yeah.
I mean, it's just nerfs. It's just nerfs to Brathians. There's no buff here. I don't think that it significantly changes their position in the ratings, though.
Yeah, but they also don't rely on the other mechanics that got nerfed, right? On the general mechanics.
Hardened a bit with Elden.
Yeah, but tiny, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So maybe, I mean, Champion of the Deck is big for a lot of lists, of course. Queen's Men also. So yeah, I don't know. I was going to say that they maybe will stay kind of in the same place, but yeah, not sure. Depends. For me, in my mind, it's not that important, but I'm totally agreeing that that's probably not the common way of seeing them.
Cool. Final thoughts on Brathian, Jacob?
I honestly didn't see like the things that were doing well in Brathian were not what I thought was good, which was like I think you generally agree it was the panic stuff in Planicide that was actually scary, and maybe some of the tech approach stuff. Like I think a lot of people recently running Massey 2-pointer just to get tech approach early, and that's not what they've made the popular stuff worse, which I didn't think was particularly good anyway. And I guess Queensmen change, yeah, that's bad. Like this, that really cripples them. I think, to be honest.
Yeah,
but,
we'll see. People saying down. I'm not. I'm still thinking middly. I think that Brathians are. Well, they are currently number 2, I think, aren't they? I think Martell's number 2. No, so Brathian's number 3. I think no, like I think Night's Watch are going up. I think Brathians maybe swatch places with Night's Watch at worst. The only changes, I mean, the only factions I'm seeing here where I'm really being like, wow, are in comparative are Night's Watch and Lannister. Those are the only factions where I'm looking at thinking, wow, that's some positive change. Baratheon's pretty middly to down slightly. Free Folk obviously it's a mess. Free Folk's just a mess as a faction, in my opinion.
Baratheons are sitting high, right? So, and I think they will. They have a good chance of staying there, right?
It'll be more like Night's Watch and Lannister catching them up or overtaking them, potentially, rather than Night's Watch Baratheon necessarily falling that far.
But we can say that it might be closer at the top now if Night's Watch and Lannister are rising in power level, which is good.
I just thought how much harder it's going to be to kill Baratheons without Warcry.
Yeah, which is something that people forget, right? That you're still going to invest in stuff like Warcry and Mark Target and the AoE panics that you can get because it's worth doing them because you need the tokens to kill them. But you're going to get less tokens, so it's harder to kill, and less tokens also means more value from Stag's Wit. Again, Stag's Wit isn't gone up in value in terms of like it's still only is 1 token bounce, but Stag Wit's gone up in value because it's a percentage token rate. If you're only putting out 5 tokens a game and Stag Wit is now bouncing 2 of those, they're now bouncing 40% of the tokens, whereas they used to be bouncing 20% from the 10 that you put out. So it's actually a greater value trade for the Baratheon player in a slightly token less meta. Yeah. Should we move on to Targs? Because I've heard some weird things about Targs, and we've talked about quite a lot of the stuff already, so let's dive in. Targs! We see changes to Night Vow on Barristan. We've talked about that. That doesn't make him playable. Belwas, the strong changes to Ardent. That just makes him worse, and he was trash anyway. Daenerys removed Heir of the House Targaryen ability. That was the one with the 2 victory points giving away. Good. Didn't need to have that. Positive. Drogo changes to ED. And Unsullied officers changing to Relentless and dropping from 3 to 2. I will say that I think the Relentless change does actually help Targaryens, probably slightly, more than it helps Night's Watch, the change. I'm still not 100% convinced it's a good thing for Targ, though. Why? Because the only units worth running it in are Stormcrow Mercs for an activation.
Yep.
Which it's now not worth running at all.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. So you don't play the activation game, and you can put them in a unit of pikemen for a decent second attack. You set for charge into an attack into something decent back, or even
which
Unsullied.
Makes a unit you don't want to charge into
More charge,
a unit you really don't want to charge into.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Do you
agreed.
think they will play it?
I don't. Think
I think it's totally off. Like I would say you don't see Unsullied officer anymore.
They go in Swordmasters only, and that's a 9-point unit that diced arranged.
But range is the one thing that Targs can just about tie up, in theory, with Drogo lists.
I think it will be the Age of Freedman now.
Agreed.
I think it will see.
Marsden and
lists.
Freeman.
maybe.
Marsden and Freeman lists.
Wait, Marsden had War.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Marsden had Warcry, and he's
Yeah.
not in the change log, right?
He is, yeah. Changes to Warcry
Oh, at
tactics
the bottom.
card.
Sorry, in the bottom. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, that's sad. But like, Div Impact is the best tokens we have now.
Yeah.
Like that card has gone up a lot.
But I
Oh,
think like they got a lot of secret nerfs, right? Tarks, Warcry, Flateman, Expert Duelist. Like,
I think they got some
Yeah.
nice changes, but yeah, let's have a look. So Blood Riders can't be weakened.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it was just fucking dumb that you took the attachments and went like, we can't be
Yeah.
weakened, but when we're Drogo, oh no, yeah, we're suddenly very weakable. Drogo's so weak. Yeah, no, that just makes sense. Annoying, of course, but it makes sense. What else we got? The dragons changing from 8 to 7. Mother of Dragons is probably playable now again.
Yes. I don't think they're that amazing still, but so much better than they were.
Are dragons now playable in other lists a bit more as well at the 7?
yeah, I think you could see. I was clicking some lists and I was thinking about, do I want to go the Mother of Dragon route? And I did. Yeah, I didn't think so. Like maybe 1 or 2 dragons,
Yeah.
maybe. Something like you can. I saw some players in Germany taking 1 dragon already, and that was better than expected at least. And yeah, I think the question is whether this is enough to make up for what hit them, right? So
What, the god awfulness that is all of their other commanders? That's not
yeah,
Drogo.
right?
Or
I'm
maybe
a little bit
Marvel.
worried about the Targaryens. I'm a little bit worried.
The thing is,
Yeah.
right? The thing is, they haven't received a nerf.
Field control is
Okay.
Field control? Oh, yeah,
Field
we didn't.
control.
Yeah, field control.
But
Field control is a
but what were you countering? You were countering outflank, which guess what? You don't fucking counter anymore. You were countering endless horde, which guess what? You're not fucking countering anymore. Like the stuff that it counters also is gone as well. Like Rob is about the only thing is Rob NCU against a Targ player. That's where the Targs are like, nah, damn, that's where we've been nerfed. Come on, it's not fucking nerfed.
I mean, it was just useful to get rid of a pivot, right? Like,
Yeah,
it was good.
It was, but like against the cavalry side lists, you almost don't care because they're gonna pivot, you know, weaken and things like that. But the idea is you're gonna charge them anyway. I'm not convinced this is a nerf. I think anyone who thinks this is a nerf is just silly. I think they're being over dramatic. I think Blood Riders received a nerf from the global Warcry nerf. These are still fine. Blood Riders can't be weakened. That's a buff. Like, it is a positive change to Drogo steamrolling and overrunning. Dragons coming down in points. Like, these are all buffs. These are all buffs. It's just that
Unless they
relentless.
were relying on Flateman and Warcry sometimes. Both worse.
Yep.
Expert Duelist. I mean, okay, I'm in both. Like that's
actually
not enough.
Yeah.
Better, probably, yeah, like, because they will play. But we have to keep in mind that Targaryens for kind of a long time were bottom of the wheel factions.
They are. I mean, they are right still, I think.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So and like so.
But I guess this brings us to the point though, and this is where I'm frustrated, is that Drogo hasn't got significantly worse. Drogo is still probably exactly where he was in the way that he was played before. I know that like the double Harakar style Drogo lists are just going to be just as, you know, prevalent, or a couple cav units. Like they're exactly the same list basically you could run. Outside of you can't run the Stormcrow Mercon Sully Captain as the 8th activation battery. And that like that's fine, but then you go, oh yeah, but the nerf to Warcry, but that's just a nerf to everyone. Like, yes, it sucks a little bit for Targs, but like it sucks for everybody. And the Flame Men change, I agree, is probably the slightly bigger one at removing a dice. But like Drogo himself has not changed anything about his list building, anything about his gameplay. Nothing about's changed. Drogo's still gonna be Drogoing people, and people are gonna lose games to Drogo, or Drogo's gonna lose games because he draws a baller opening hand, or he doesn't draw a baller opening hand. And
That's true, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and the problem with Targs isn't that they've nerfed them. They've buffed Mother of Dragons as a second list option.
They didn't buff the right things. That's the problem, right?
They didn't buff anything. That's more the problem. Like Hurakar's arguably maybe a little bit, but like they're just like they've left so many things. I mean, come on, Belwas, Barristan, these global nerfs, which I don't really consider them a nerf to those things massively.
Yeah.
They are, slightly worse, but they're just shite now. They're utter garbage, and they weren't good before.
And the whole lacking synergy with from the tactics deck with the infantry, that's still untouched and
Not been addressed.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look at the new field control. Friendly combat unit performs a maneuver retreat with the enemy becomes weakened. Yes, that's the same. If the NC was an enemy after resolving that zone's effect, one friendly combat unit performs a shift 3. That's more powerful than you think. Shifting 3 on anything on the game board is useful. Yes, it doesn't allow you to change facings and stuff, but with the Drogo lists, like, you don't need to with what you're running. And it's less of a feels bad. This is actually much more of a I am going to play this and get a buff. And a Targaryen player can use this much more proactively now, I think, rather than using it as like a kind of weird control-y deny piece that it was.
And that could backfire, right? The old field control, the 3, you got 3 in shift and a weaken token, right?
Yes.
On 1 unit
Yeah.
of yours. And that could be an advantage in disguise, like for your opponent. So that's gone now, and you can really use it to control the field with your unit. So yeah, not as bad as it may seem, maybe.
Yeah, I don't understand why people are complaining about Targs getting worse, because I don't think they are. What I would say is they're not getting better.
Yeah, and they really wanted to, right?
Yeah.
They still have Vets and Jorah.
Yeah.
Right. Which are good.
It's good, but Jorah, if you have to win like 7 games with it on a competitive level in a tournament, like Jorah could die 2 crowns at round 1 still, and that happens, and that ruins your games, or it can, and it's like not as reliable as you want it to be, or Tivint or whatever. Like there's stuff that can kill him and takes the synergy away.
I do agree.
Right.
Charles, every time we say mod in the second Targ list, a Canadian cries. They do indeed. Yeah, I do agree with what the chat's saying there about Targ commanders just being in a rough place. They are. Like Targ commanders and Targ infantry style lists are just sad unless you're running Marzelin, maybe. And even then, that got worse with unsullied officers.
Yeah, that all relies on officer, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're not using mercs with anything anymore, so it's cutthroats and
unsullied swordmasters to go YOLO behind some behind your freedmen.
And like, are we just doing double outriders in every list because it's the only unit that's actually in any way playable? Probably.
Outriders isn't even winning though. That's the thing. Like Outriders aren't winning games.
They're not even good.
They're one of the lowest rated units in the game. For Targs, so yeah.
At least, like, I think for a lot of people with the new field control, there's a lot of NPE removed.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's one direction the patch seems to, like, it feels like they want to enable fun in a way, which is not a bad thing in itself, right? So
you know what it is though? I'm gonna say it again. It's one of these low-hanging fruits that I can just reach up and pull down, like this lamp, because it's something that people complained about. Why does it just cancel my thing? Well, so just remove it.
Yeah, true.
Also gets rid of the issue of this doesn't technically work.
Yeah,
right?
Us having to create an entire narrative as to why it works as players, because we knew how it was supposed to work, and it didn't do anything otherwise, so we had to create a narrative. That's gone, thankfully. I get why people are sad about Targs, maybe it's just because things haven't changed. and they think they would have. Do you know what I'm actually more annoyed about than anything else?
Mhm.
Very, very few things in the game have had their abilities changed. Like, they are still fundamentally... Like, one of the things that I said yesterday on yesterday's stream is these people said, outflank's changed. And I was like, yeah, but Harakar's... You see what I'm saying? Oh, but Harakar's, outflank is really good. Yeah, but how do you know Harakar's has still got outflank? You don't know that. You don't know what they're going to look like. And it's like, actually, like, everything's just broadly kept exactly the same abilities. It's either just been a point change here or there, or the abilities been changed. So... It's really weird. It's like the balance across the board has been shifted, but everything's being shifted by exactly the same amount. And then it's the other changes, like point changes, which are the things deciding where factions are going up or down. Targs, are we still saying they're pretty sad?
Probably yes.
Yep. Sad for Targs. I cry a tear for my Targ friends. Oh wait, Targs don't have friends. Everything's fine. I'm pretty sure Craig Gurney is going to absolutely shout at me for that one. Right, so Greyjoy's next. Oh, we'll do Martell's, right? Because we know it's there. Oh, look, Martell's hadn't had any change except Oberyn's change, so cool. That was easy. Martell's have not changed.
One question there. One
Okay.
question.
Go on, one question.
Do you think that they should have changed something in Martell? Like, easy question.
Yes.
I'm going to say no.
Elaborate.
I think that if they release something and aren't convicted that they were right before and make a change immediately when there's no compelling evidence to say it's actually bustedly strong, then they are reacting to... It's the same argument with my hunters, like the Frozen Shore hunters, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they were plinted at long range and they agreed that they are long range, by changing them to short range, that what they are admitting is they are admitting we react to people's reaction to things and not data and balance, which is the one reason that they have always given for making changes is not enough data. So by that very definition, if they make changes to Martells, they would be doing so without enough data that they have specifically said, and thus they're undermining their own principles of the change.
Since they are undermining it, they could have done it, right?
So this is my problem. Like, Varamir, not enough data. Too recent release. Don't need to change him. He's fine. Clearly fucking not fine. Clearly a problem. Frozen Shore Hunters, they were just meant to be short range, honest. Were they? Or is this because so many people said to you, it's fucking dumb that they're short range, or long range? Which it is dumb. But that's not a data-led change. Varamir is not a data-led change because it's not enough data. Martell's isn't a data-led change. But then other things, it's like, oh yeah, we had data on this, and it's so ridiculous. And it's like, well, but you released it. You haven't got data on this. This hasn't played games yet. We know that because fucking Stats hasn't got data on this shit yet. If Stats can't generate data for hunters to tell you if they're broken or not, how can you possibly decide from a playtesting thing that you were right or wrong? Because we play games at such a higher rate. Now again,
which leaves the explanation that it really was a mistake, right?
Yeah, it must have been a mistake. But how can you get that far through QA with it being a mistake? You know what I mean? Like, this is... They didn't even mention it when they got released. They didn't say, oh, by the way, guys, sorry, there's been a misprint on the card.
Yeah, mistake could have been corrected earlier, right?
Yeah, if it's genuinely a mistake.
Yeah.
And this is where I don't believe it. And this is what I hate, because the rhetoric that they use doesn't make sense in their own work. Like, their rhetoric doesn't make sense. And it's not, I will hasten to add, it just so happens to be a free folk unit. It doesn't have to be hunters that we use as the catalyst to proving that argument. It could have been anything that has been recently released. It just so happens to be free folk hunters that are the ones to pick out.
What do you think, Jacob? Like, you would have made changes? Or loved changes?
To ourselves, yeah. Abandonment and broken is stupid. Rising temperatures is probably need to change. Ilaria is broken. Like there's no two ways of putting it. Ilaria needs to be 5, and will probably be auto include at 5. My list of immediate changes probably ends there. Doran to make people happy. I'm actually not that worried about
That
Doran.
was a low hanging fruit, right? But they didn't take it, yeah. But probably
yeah.
with the explanation that Mickey gave, yeah.
Not enough data, which I disagree with. I think there's easily enough
Yeah.
there's easily enough data on Martells, and the Frozen Shore Hunter change is like, this is obviously probably too good. Like, this is the thing, it's an obvious nerf. You don't really need data to make that nerf. But like, if it was that fucking obvious, why did you release them like that? You know what I mean? Like, this is the whole problem. The very rhetoric in which they release units and nerf them and change them has been completely undone by this document alone. Has proven that they don't, in my opinion, really understand why they're making the changes they're making. Like,
Also, this idea of hardened is too good, so therefore we'll make every instance of hardened worse.
yes,
Easy solution. Like the issue was not how good hardened was. The issue was how good hardened was for how much you were paying for it. So a way better solution was just say make people pay more for hardened, or take away other abilities, or make them worse, or stuff like that. But that takes more effort than just we'll make hardened worse everywhere, right? Because did Belwas need to get worse? No. Did Walrus need to get worse? No. Like so many of these things, right? Like the Warcry tactics card thing is so stupid.
Like
that
why
is really,
did that need to get worse?
that's such
Yeah,
a bad
true.
card now. Like, it was already not good, and now it's goddamn awful.
And it's typically in commanders who are not good as well, right?
Like Brynden, I'm guessing Asher, like these commanders have now just gotten worse. And
I mean, Asher was dominating the Greyjoy field, as we know now. I'm really enlightened
We'll get
there,
on
but
there,
yeah,
good
This is-
explanation.
this is a problem because I know what's about to come, and I am legitimately going to say this once and for all. I know that there is a playtesting group in Spain, and there are that many changes. By far, one of the most changed factions is Greyjoys, and we know Mikel plays Greyjoys in Spain.
Well, 90% of them are just boilerplate, right? It's like there's one infantry change, one attachment change that's not just global, but yeah.
But if they argue that the Greyjoys were too good and like Asher was this, that, and the other, and like the problem there is that that's their own environment that they created, and like now they're using it to change them. I just think it's dumb.
I don't think that's what's happening here. Like all they've done is move rally point, right? Like, and they did that to Mance too, because apparently the bubble is bad. I'm like, why is the bubble bad? Asher's bubble was absolutely fine. It was not a problem at all.
And they wouldn't. What I don't like is they've removed it, put Boisterous Charisma on, which no one gives a shit about. That it's like a terrible ability, as you say. Like, it's nice, it's cool, it's funny, but it doesn't really make much difference. And they haven't even given her Embolden in replacement, which is kind of dumb. I don't know. Removing the flavor of a commander is not the same as making them better or worse. It's not a solution. Like we saw with Mance. Like, Mance might not be played anymore, but it hasn't solved the core issue of what Free Folk lists were doing with Mance. So, yeah. Anyway. Change to Warcry for Asher, Captain of the Black Wind. Yep, the 1 pointer. Remove Rally Point, added Boisterous Charisma. Who gives a shit? Baelor changes to Hardened. Yep, changes to Vassal and Newt. Reaver Captain changes to Outflank. Asher changes to Carl. Changes to Expert Duelist, and Victarion changes to Relentless and hasn't been reduced in points, so he's just make an attack, Furious Charge.
It feels bad, right? The last one. That feels really bad.
Named non-spammable character attachment with 2 abilities. That's exactly the same as things like Night's Watch, Captains and Unsullied Officers, and the second ability that he has for the Vulnerable on the charge.
It's worse.
It's literally worse than the Night's Watch thing. It's probably equivalent. I would say it's roughly equivalent to the Unsullied Officers one. But it's not boldness and fucking courage, is it? No, that's
stupid. Yeah. Like, Victorian's Relentless was absolutely fine. Like, it was interesting. It was good. It meant that the Knights, the high activation Greyjoy lists weren't just infantry trait, right? Which is what they're going to be now.
with Black Side Chosen, because this is actually the coolest change.
Black Side Chosen removing Divide the Spoils, which kind of is funny because they're like, you're a pillage faction. We're just taking a pillage mechanic off a mainstay unit because, you know, because you're a pillage faction. And they give them Emboldened. And straight away, Embolden, you're probably going to run this now as your commander. Yeah,
Yes.
as your commander unit for 7 points. Because it's a 5 morale unit at 7 points. It's a Night's Watch unit. This is exactly the same as Dark Swarm. Now it's exactly the same as Night's Watch, Swarm Brothers. Point for point. Identical. With an AoE buff. Dauntless instead of Sundering. And you can put commanders in
They are
it
still
to make
not
it better.
Silence Men, and they are still not Iron Makers.
Sure, but Iron
I don't
Makers
know.
suck.
Iron
Makers are suck. Because they just get switched off and die. Or someone targets them in the morale, which, you don't have morale 5 in them anymore. Not easily.
I mean, that's true. That's true. Okay, I see that. But Silence Men still work, right?
Silence Men probably still the
It's
best.
kind of fine. I'm still putting Baelor in these and then having Drowned Men, Asectable Sacrifices nearby, because that's a very good card. And like, cool, they have 3 morale. And
But
the rest of
they
the
have
army is +2.
no keywords still, right? They have simply martial training, right?
Muscle training.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Put Carl in there,
I mean,
and you're a 9-point
They do
unit now, but fucking YOLO, you're 1 morale.
I think you
After
can get
everything.
down to 1. I think with a tree you can get down to 1. Yeah.
No, with acceptable sacrifices, right?
It's base 5. Carl takes it to 3. Except takes it to 2. It was 3 with
3.
Baelor Commander Iron Resolve.
Yeah, but that's it. Iron Resolve. Yeah.
Balon. Sorry.
Balon.
I mean, no one's playing Balon, but Acceptable Sacrifices is incredible. It's so
cool.
good. It's a shame the rest of it's terrible.
Yeah, they don't interact with pillage, which is a problem. But the thing is, like, this unit at 7 points is now playable because the morale bubble is worthwhile looking at because you don't have any other way of improving it. And if the game is about morale damage,
but is it enough? Like, I'm really wondering, is it enough?
I don't know.
Emboldened to Greyjoy Bowman, like, they are still 7. Like,
You're still gonna run, like, you're still gonna fucking run Asher 1-pointer. You still have to run Asher 1-pointer, in fact, because I think it's too much value. But you can make a unit of Bowman 4 morale, and then you win basically every bow trade-off. Like, that's almost worth it. You still get the double. You still get double Warcry because you got Bowman with the vulnerable token off Finger Dance, and you can put the panic out with Asher. Like, on a 4+ as well, it's better. You know what I mean? Like, this is not. I'm not convinced that this is a great unit. I'm not convinced that this is like the next way to play. But we already know that Greyjoy Bowman is still going to see a lot of play because the biggest threat to Greyjoy Bowman in Flayed Men is gone, outside of Greyjoy Hunters.
Bowman will still be the mainstay, but the question is, like, Black Tide Chosen not having pillage themselves. I mean, they cannot heal, you know, from.
Sure. But like, pillage was not a good mechanic, right? Like.
But you could spend panic tokens for gaining advantages at some points.
Iron Price is a fine card, I guess.
Guys, it's fine. The +1 dice on the 2nd rank for Harlaw Reapers, that is the change we needed.
Did you see the second change though? That's interesting.
Yeah, the second change being they get +1 automatic wound and then +1s, right?
Wait, they
could do 3 wounds.
Yes, they have.
Panic.
They don't quite, but
additional.
They have theirs too.
I'm currently covering over the.
That's all right. There you go. They basically have theirs too many on their melee attack, every attack, if they've got full pillage.
Oh.
They get vicious and +3 wounds, or vicious and +3 healing, or vicious and any combination of the above.
And since you can, the instances where I saw it doing some work, or where I played it myself, was obviously with Ramsey attachment, and now you're looking at 4 wounds on panic plus.
Plus 4 wounds, or just heal 6 back, right? Heal the water.
I run it with Carl because then you're guaranteed a morale check at -2, which is, you know, good enough. And you can put the panic token out a couple of different ways. You're still running Asher for that as well. You can make these guys morale 4 with the 2-point version of Carl, which I was already running. Black Tide Chosen, fuck it, make them 3 morale. These guys are virtually unkillable at distance now, outside of hits. And when they hit you, it doesn't matter if they get hit and they pass a morale check because they're not taking 8 hits from a shot. They can come in, they can charge. They're still rolling 6 dice, which is decent. 1 auto wound. Happy days.
I mean, we're just playing Baron Jackin at that point, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. We're just
With the
playing.
Golden.
We're just playing fucking meme like bullshit levels of like, I am not. This unit is going to do all my work, and if you have any answer to it, I've lost. But who gives a fuck? You're taking
Yeah,
minus
I mean,
7 wounds on a failed panic check. Die.
Yeah, but like, why not? Like, play Black Eye Chosen, Baron Jackin, Wendy. They never die. They kill everything. Two
Yeah.
Bowman.
You've got 6 charges in your game.
Middle.
Use them well.
Exactly.
that's
Like,
a meme.
We haven't even talked about the commander yet. No, this is a list. I'm playing this. It's going to be great. Filling it right now.
And you fill the list out with Bowman, right?
Obviously.
This is
I don't know what even.
anyone watching this, and if Mikel is watching this on playback and he thinks, "Oh my god, this is the worst thing," and we've given Mikel a brain aneurysm. Sorry, Mikel. If not, I mean, this is. I mean, I love Harlow Reapers. I want to put them on the table, and if I find a meme to put them on the table, I will.
What if it's a Euron list? Like,
Why don't you take like even Silence Man besides them? Like then everything will fail then.
-4 or -5 to your panic.
-5 if you go with Ramday. I played a list with Silence Man and Reapers with Ramday, and it kind of works. You could go to 8 activations, I guess.
You can't now with no Vic. I
You
think it
cannot-
fucks you over.
Yeah, true. You cannot anymore. But I don't know. Maybe.
Let's build the meme. Yeah, fuck it. We're going 2-point Carl. That could also be Roose Ramsey. So, I'll put some generic NCUs in because you put Wendy, you put Roderick, you put Baron for now. I don't think you go Jack and Baron. I think you just stick to single Baron because the tempo loss on taking Jack and Baron is too slow.
trying to agree. And then
You
we
need
take
Asher.
Brown.
1 point, and you need
Yeah.
Bowman. And how many points left? We've got 7 points left. It's a 7 activation list.
Oh,
But I can make it 7 activations as well by putting Victarion in my Bowman.
right. Yeah.
Actually, not a meme. Do you put Victarion in your Silence Men? Because Victarion's fucking terrible, and we're already understanding that this is a YOLO dumb list. And you just walk around with these two, like 9 and a 10, an 8 and a 10-point unit, just trying to munch people, and when you fail to munch people because it's a 7 activation list, you cry.
I really would have loved to see the Reapers going to 5, actually.
Yeah, Reapers to 5 was, I thought. Yeah.
Because now they went into the, like making 6-point infantry units viable trap. I mean, maybe they had some success here, as we might see, but I don't know.
Data Link absolutely nails the level of memery here. Vic in Reapers with Reaver Captain. You outflank them and in the rear. Oh, it's so dangerous. You might kill some 4-point unit. Yeah, I don't know. Is Vic Commander in Reapers something you'd run now? Maybe. Vic Commander in Reapers might be pretty good. For charging off tactics board for assault orders, right? Because you're not taking Relentless Vic anymore because it doesn't exist. As far as Greyjoys are concerned.
Commander is just bad though, so play
Of course
good
he is.
Commander instead.
Of course he's bad, but you know.
Like, who is the best Greyjoy commander anymore? I'm not actually sure. Could be. There's a lot of them.
I think it's not who's the best one, it's about who's not the worst.
Yeah. Like,
Euron.
Asher is. It's Euron. Yeah.
Euron is currently the best.
Because like Asher is dead. Baelor is worse. I didn't like Baelor before anyway. So just Euron, right? It's just
Euron
like,
in Blackguard. Euron in Blackguard with a unit of Bowman, with Asher, maybe Asher Trappers, 2 units of Bowman, and then fucking Flame Man. I don't know. A activation list without Vic, and you've it's just the same. It's the same list. It's the same list, and it hasn't changed.
I mean, I think like you can play Dagmar with the new pirates. That works.
Oh, I forget the new pirates. I forget Lycini pirates exist. Yeah, okay. Lycini pirates, because they have 9 dice or something dumb like that, don't they? At 1 rank
Yeah,
when they get 2
pretty
village.
cool if you have Iron Makers and pirates.
Yeah.
Whoop, 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 whoop. That's funny. And 3 bowmans accompanying them.
Yeah.
It's decent 8 activation. That's at least what I found from testing a little.
Charles is right. You also get Newt with Victarion, so you can run Victarion in a unit of meme, Newt in a unit of meme, and it's cheaper. You can charge off tactics board. Maybe this meme list that I was generating. Oh, but then you can't run a good attachment in the units you care pushing. No, fuck that shit. Bullshit. I don't get to have a
There's
mine.
still the Victarion in Golden Company Swordsman and Elephant list that Michael put on the table. I tried it myself a couple times. It's not that bad.
Yeah, but it is bad though.
Against
Golden Company Swordsman, isn't it?
Baratheon and Lannisters, like it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, not that bad is not the quite same as it's good, isn't it? It's like I
It's
was
an activation list. You can win with it,
Hang
right?
on.
It's like
I'm a very good player, and I'm running this garbage list tier thing, and I'm playing against somebody. Oh, it's fine. This list will be fine. It'll be great. Oh, I won. Oh, it's great. The list is fine. No, LArks, you just happen to be quite good at the game. No, I do agree with you. Like those meme kind of lists can work quite well sometimes, actually. But I don't think they stand up to the competitive stuff.
they still, yeah, it's true, but at least they can hit reliably.
Yeah.
8 activations.
Yeah,
And that's not given anymore. And they can still have some decent units in it. So I don't know. I'm obviously not happy for Greyjoys. I would have loved way more for them. But I'm not that pessimistic either.
They did change Eric. I'm just going to read Eric. I did have a little look at him before.
It's not good.
They made they actually made him worse.
Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
It wasn't even that good. Fucking hell. Biggest crutch that people were like, oh, this is really good. And it's like, no, it's not. When Eric on enemy NCU claims the bags, so it's exactly the same as ability as he had before, but now it's himself as well. Fine.
So he gets 1 less pillage token, but you can take bags and instead of putting 1 out, give him 1 to him.
I mean, it's a buff, kind of.
No, it's not. He
But it's
starts
probably
with 1.
worse. He starts with 1 still,
A
anyway.
lot worse. No, he used to start with 2.
Did he used to start with 2?
Yeah.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
And you cannot claim bags and give 1 out, so that's also bad.
Yeah. He actually used to start with 2. Wow. Holy shit. That shows you how little I give a shit about Eric, doesn't it?
Hashtag pillage too strong.
Yeah. For me, Greyjoys have not had anything. The embolden on an infantry unit is interesting. I think that can't be overlooked as an interesting change that could help.
Yep.
But I don't think they've got much else going for them. And they're just gonna. I'm just gonna say this right away. They are going to get torn to shreds by Lightbringers. Because
Embolden.
what? Your morale 8 archers now saving on a 10 down to 9.
Yep.
Splash panic onto your entire army, who's also saving like 8s. Right.
Yep. Let's do it.
Which is the same problem that Free Folk have, to be fair. I don't see the light.
Then again, like Greyjoys, they are good against Martells, aren't they? Because Martells don't like 3 bowmen. Like they don't.
They
I'm
don't.
sure. So
they don't, but like they also kind of don't care. They just go kill them.
no, if it just place 2 palisades and it will take a lot.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
So, from my experience, like Greyjoys are pretty good against Martells. What I found, which is, I mean, I don't want the game going into the direction where faction A counters faction B, basically, but Martell is a top tier faction, will be, and they have some answers at least.
Yeah. I don't think Greyjoys are going up, personally. I don't see them going up significantly. Overall, then, overall, I know we've kind of spoke about it a lot more, is the independent parts. Let's talk about a few things. Let's first of all talk about overall changes. Said it before, I'll reiterate, I think it's weak. As in, like, if you remove the change, if you remove from the change log the global changes that they've made, then I actually think very few things have changed.
Yep.
I know that the global changes are significant global changes. It is better than nothing being changed. I agree with Stefan there. I do agree there. This set of changes is like, before I'm about to say some negative things, like I'm gonna, reiterate the changes that they have made are positive, in that they are moving the game in the right direction. But it feels like a long time for very small changes to come out. I am still kind of baffled that this is what a year's worth of balancing and playtesting has generated for us.
Yeah, and it's hard for me at the moment to remove this, like this impression.
Yeah. And no game mode changes. No game mode additions. Like,
maybe some tweaks to terrain, like make hedges viable or whatever. Like introduce hills. I don't know, but do something interesting. Like the game is so cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and Randall's saying there, the letdown is the feeling that we may have to wait for another 12 months to see more changes. Yeah, this is actually kind of the problem. Like, the problem being is that, like, this set of changes is not that much, and this might, like, I hope this isn't all we get in a year's time as well. I think they're trying to wait until... I honestly believe that Simon wants to see a full competitive season play out under a balance patch in their own events. Because we didn't see it last year. Like, the stage was set, everything was ready. They had the perfect opportunity with Season 1 to really assess. And when I say assess, like, visit, host, attend these big tournaments across the world. Host a World's Champion, completely dead. It was mentioned once. Completely dead mention of the World Championships. They could have really pushed a lot of that, and it feels that they didn't, because OP wasn't ready for it when they said it was, and now they're going into the new year being like, OP's ready now, and Organized Play is not ready. Like, it's abundantly clear Organized Play is not ready, because Organized Play is now trying to run things in the US, and they've got like 7 players at Cherokee Open, right? It's not ready in the US. And they're trying to mask it like it is, and I think that they want the game to play out in a full cycle under the balance that they've got here, before they understand the true issues with the patch, the things that people complain about. Do I think people will complain about these changes? Yes. Do I actually think there's anything to complain about with the changes that they've made? Not really. That's actually the irony. There are very few changes here I'm like, that's a bad change. Everything here is moving in the right direction. Everything. Maybe except Victorian. I just don't know if this is enough.
Yeah, like it feels, for me, I think they have the impression that you need to remove all the negative parts or negatively considered parts of the game, and then everything's good. And
Yeah.
that's not right. I think you have to give them also, people will talk about stuff, and you have also to give people new stuff to talk about. And to be like, it's like, if they keep heading down this track, the game will be boring in a while. That's what I feel, because there's very little things here that really makes me excited and want to try things out. It's a little bit more streamlined on certain in certain areas, and the game was streamlined during the last patch already. And there are people complaining about the lack of individual abilities and stuff. And at the beginning I couldn't see it, but now I'm starting to see it. Like it feels it's up to a level where I would say I don't want to see another Iron Resolve anymore. Like give me something interesting and flavorful.
Yeah, this is actually something that's come up with not so much the competitive side of players at our club, but like the more casual side players. And he's like, that just doesn't feel how that unit should work. And he's like, that just doesn't feel right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And although I don't care about that when it comes to balance, like those are important things for the game as a whole.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like from a balance standpoint, I would say okay, not perfect, but probably good. But if I'm like looking at the game as a whole, I'm kind of worried.
But it's like and again, it's all the things that people complained about. And not everything that people complain about is a good change. The Expert Duelist one is a perfect example. Like, Expert Duelist was complained about a lot. By far, I said this yesterday, by far the most complained about rule in the game that we saw complained about online so much. You talk to myself, Jacob, Bob, LArks, Mikkel, anyone at this end of the game, and we're like, oh yeah, Expert Duelist is fine. It's not actually a broken ability, it's not imbalanced. Did it create a reduction in fun? Yes, it did. For some people, it created a reduction in fun. It wasn't an OP ability, but it was complained a lot, so they made it more fun by reducing the thing that people complained about. But like, we're looking at that change and like, we just don't care. Like, it's almost completely irrelevant. The Warcry change, people complain because too many tokens, it's too easy to... Warcry's too spammable. Yeah, makes sense. Reduce Warcry. 100% agree. But like, it's not changed the flavor of anything. You've literally just said Warcry's slightly worse.
And the thing is, like, I think one guy in the chat said something like, removing NPE isn't adding fun. And that's true, right? Like, for me, that's pretty true, because what you need is also to add depth in the game and to need flavor and feeling. Like yeah, that's not enough to remove like things people complain about, and that seems to be the topic of this patch. And I think we all hope for more.
Exactly, they're saying hardened is a problem, so everyone who uses hardened is going to get worse, even though there's a lot of components that were made cool because they had hardened on them, right? Like Walrus, Great Walrus.
Belwas was his one redeeming feature. Like, literally his one redeeming feature.
Exactly. Like, you could just about play Belwas because he had hardened and taunt, and those work well together. And now it's everything about him is just sad. You know, like a lot of things are being checked out with the bathwater here, and not great.
I'm suddenly got very negative.
How do we turn this into a positive atmosphere for the end?
Mag Smash.
Mag Smash! That is the right answer. No, I mean, let's say the positive things, right? In that, in case it isn't abundantly clear, I said this yesterday actually. What this patch does show is that data be damned, I don't give a shit what they say about data, they do listen to the community. In that, if people are saying things are broken or busted or annoying or unfair, they'll change it. That is the takeaway that I have today. So if you don't like something in the game, you go to Facebook, you create a Facebook post about it, and you post about it every couple of days, and eventually in the next change in a year's time, that'll get fixed. You might have to pull a bit of a Grusselug on this one and post every couple of days. Where are my dragons? Where are my dragons? Where are my dragons? But, you know, if that's a solution, that's a solution. I don't think that's a good thing, by the way, guys, but it is a solution. Do I think that they are changing things that they think are weak? Yeah, I do think, you know, Outflank, they changed something that was objectively bad from a gameplay perspective, and they've made it better. They've made things that were objectively good slightly worse. They've made things that needed changing, like Vassal, they've cleaned them up. They've finally fixed, and I use that term very loosely, fixed Gilly, and decided what they want Gilly to do. Relentless is gone in the way that we know it. It's different now. The VPs from Commanders gone, except in Mance's case, where they've just come back, which does seem a bit odd. their way of balancing commanders seems to be, oh, we'll just make them worth more VPs. Too good? Make them worth more VPs. Oh, not good enough now? Make them worth less VPs. Which is a bit of a odd change, really, in my book. But yeah, like everything.
So we can say that they are able to make fixes, right?
Yeah, they are able
Okay.
to fix. Like that is abundantly clear. But yes, I think if I was sending a message out to Simon tomorrow, it would be, Simon, I think you need to revise your game modes. Simon, I think you need to think about releasing full rules for this. Simon, I think you need to be considering how you consider your distribution cycles, which is not new. But we need to be going to Simon with what we want now, I think. Because I just don't know if they know where the game is lying.
For me, it would be like I mean, fixing is good and that's nice. Probably want it definitely not once per year. That's not fast enough. But like that's
This
okay.
isn't.
Like yeah.
If this happened, if this is all we get in another year's time, you will lose community. And I say that as someone who's built community and tries to, encourage community here. You will lose the community.
That's one thing. Fix is good. Need to be quicker. The other thing is more development, right? Like development in the very sense of the word. Develop the game. With all that belongs to it.
Progress it.
I mean, the reason I'm excited about the game, well, first of all, Mag Smash, and second of all, there's 7 big tournaments in the UK this year that have been announced and are scheduled together, and you can go to all of them if you want to. The one in Scotland because it's literally way too far away. Right? Like that's to be excited about.
Yes.
What and I guess some of these changes, like Greyjoys have had 2 things made better. So all Greyjoys players have 2 things to be excited about. Right? Favorite players have Mag and I guess CDS and
Mag Smash. Just Mag Smash.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you can do it and it's being done, but it's not being done by Simon, really, is it? And you're a Lannister player, and you come up with cool Lannister lists, and then you realise you can't get red cloaks at a reasonable price. Well, then you either have to fork out for the import or just not play the faction, right? And there's huge issues that I think. I mean, yeah, I just sitting here saying about all the problems, all right? There are things to be excited about, 100%, and I think organized play in Europe is doing well and is growing.
Community organized play, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's not being done by them, is it?
No.
And as much as it is slightly sad that they keep talking about the US scene, and the US is the events they go to, and you feel like a lot of it is based off that. And then the Nationals was won by Starks, and the most recent event had 7 players, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not much you can say other than it's a different place, right? They're in a different position than organized play in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Well, there we go. I have to admit, I was surprised. I was surprised that this was only a 2-page document, and surprised that the format of the document is. I mean, they talk a long time about their how they want to format documents and put them together. This is the first time I've ever seen them put stuff together on a PDF like this. And also, I'm 90% sure, unless it's just my loading of the PDF.
It's not. I was also no.
The image quality on this stuff is shite.
Yeah.
Actually bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something ridiculous, and don't shout at me for this, anybody. This document feels rushed. I never thought. It does. It feels rushed. That's what I would say.
This is something we were alluding to earlier, right? Is that as far as we know, Fabio is the only person working anywhere close to full time on this.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe Fabio is just not particularly good at writing documents. Who knows, right? Because they've known for remember the
alternate list construction that just had a bunch of spelling errors / things that just didn't work in it. Like, there's not unknown to just do this.
I'm saying there are spelling mistakes in this apparently as well, which I haven't picked out, which I normally do, but let's face it, I've been first reacting to it straight away. But yeah. We'll see. We will see. Let's go away. Let's come back. Let's make some lists. Let's play some games. See how it all kind of patches out. Is there anything that anyone in chat wants to talk to us about before we end the episode today? Because we are going to start going towards an end, but we can do a bit of a Q&A session almost. Ask the players / ask opinions on XYZ. So if there is anything that people want to ask, just drop a question in chat. While I do so, which faction are you going to be picking up first, Jacob, to pick up and play?
Mag Smash, obviously.
Mag Smash, yeah, it's got to be Free Folk, right? I'm going to be playing my Free Folk probably over the Greyjoys at the moment.
I don't know what what the infantry list look like anymore.
No.
I
Need to
will
think
be
about
trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I'll still probably play Greyjoys locally because I haven't played them before.
Yeah. LArks, what's the faction you're reaching for first to play and get on the table?
Thing is, like, before the patch, there was a couple of months where I was just playing whatever faction, since for a long time now I own like everything, and I wanted to be getting ready for the patch, you know, playing every faction in and out, and to really make out the impact of the changes they make, to really be able to assess that. And I think I will keep doing it because I don't know. I thought I would see something and jump onto it, but it's not the case. So I think I will stick with playing whatever I want to and do some stuff. Like I don't know if obviously like Free Folk, Lannisters, and Night's Watch for me are most interesting because they had changes and I want to explore that. So probably one of those. But I might be ending up playing Baratheons. I don't know. I actually don't know.
Okay.
How about you?
I'm going to get the Free Folk out. They are my pride and joy. They're painted here, and I wouldn't be who I am today without my good old Free Folk. I've got Greyjoys. I'm not particularly over the moon to play Greyjoys. The one of the units I don't own is Black Tide Chosen. I'm going to meme some Harlow Reapers though, because meming Harlow Reapers is fun. But I already do that, so the fact that the meme just got stronger is just empowering my meme to senses. I think I'd be interested to. I have enough for Lannisters now because I don't buy a lot of stock myself really, but I've got Lannisters here that I might break out the boxes. Lannister starter as well. Some other stuff. Might be interested to try some stuff there. Got attachment boxes for literally everyone now, I think, as well. I might go down the route. I don't really want to pick up Night's Watch, really. I've got an option to use a Night's Watch army for cheap, and I'm not interested in it. I wanted to be interested in neutrals as a faction, and I don't think I am that interested in them as a faction, which is a shame. Yeah, I don't know. Probably Greyjoys and Free Folk. Probably Free Folk will be my first one, as people would expect from myself. But Greyjoys is going to come out and play as well. Then yeah, don't know. See where we go from there. I don't know.
I don't think Free Folk will be good anymore. Or they'll be overpowered anymore. I really don't.
Maybe I'm underestimating the Mance change too much, but just the way that Mance was played when I was playing it before, like, I don't think it mattered.
Like, there's too many was kind of how you won the game, right?
Yeah.
Of course it was. Yeah.
You don't have them anymore. You don't have chariot. We're not playing chariots anymore, right? I think we're in agreement on that.
Probably not.
So what are we doing? We have.
You go back to pre. You go back to pre. You run the Harmer Fen style, double trapper, triple trapper, couple of units of raiders style stuff, and
we still run Varamir, obviously.
Yeah.
It's more like attrition based now, I guess.
which you lose because other factions are better at attrition than we are, like by a long margin. But you still got
Exactly.
trackers that are just nuts. And the flayed men nerf, by taking 1 days off flayed men, means you're almost guaranteed to survive any charge from flayed men.
Yeah.
So.
But how do I feel like the ways that Prefog won the game have just disappeared? Do you still play Tormund? Maybe.
I think overwhelming assault, raid leaders and stuff will be still good.
Yeah, like is it literally just raid leader, champion of bone? Is that the way you win the game?
I still think the Varamir list that I ran as my secondary, just run Varamir, double monster, mag, Baroque in a unit of raiders, Tormund in a unit of raiders. Everything's 5 morale or better anyway. Like you're not running Mance. You just think that exact same list is exactly the same as it was, and that was a good list. You know what I mean? Like
Maybe.
you lose the chariots, but
the question is like, do we see Jarl, for example?
yeah, I mean,
Raiders?
Jarl and Trappers.
Ooh, maybe.
Probably.
Like, do you take Jarl in Raiders in a free inventory list just to have one less unit you don't have to worry about tripping over yourself?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's good now. And just in Raiders, just for an infantry block that can go anywhere and gets in the way.
More importantly, it allows you to threaten a rear charge onto a unit that's otherwise quite difficult to remove on a victory point.
Yep.
And your opponent can't defend both flanks with that. It also gives you an option to tie up infantry and archers. The problem is like you're going to rely on Shadowcat and Wolfpack, I think, a little bit more. And I do think those are good pickups still. Anyway, I said we'd do some questions. I see what's come through in the chat. I do apologise. We got massively sidetracked there. Stats update timeline. So data link. This week we'll be doing not much work because all I have to do is put together the images for Carlo, which I thought would be like a lot of stuff. It's not. There's not much stuff I need to do work-wise. So I'll do that along with some of the guys who developed some of the stuff for TTS. So that'll be fairly straightforward. So that's the timeline there. Then Carlo is back from his travels this weekend, I believe. And then the plan is he's going to work on it on Monday to have the stats builder updated on Monday. No promises, of course. He may get tied into other work-related commitments. I want to say, and this is a promise on his behalf, but I can't make that promise. Based on what he says and based on the way he says things, I would expect it to be done by Wednesday next week at the latest. But that does not a promise. He might decide that he doesn't want to do it. He might decide there's not things to do. There aren't a large number of changes he really needs to make, like at all, because what he needs to change is the back end with the coding side. New images takes literally like it's quite easy for him to add new images to the website. So as long as they're there provided for him, he can get those sorted quite quickly. The only problem might be he may have problems. He may not. I don't know. I don't know how he's fixed it before. He may have problems with new mag smash being the 4-point reduction because it just has to apply. The site will have to apply a discount there, which you'll have to hard code in probably. Yeah, so that's the timeline there mid next week. What else we got? You don't think 7-point dragons are good? 7-point dragons are probably pretty good. Like, yeah, they probably are. It's just that the rest of Targs isn't, and if it's just Drogo with dragons or Mother Dragons with dragons, like we're just back to square one, aren't we? Yeah. Any other questions? Is there any hope for Renly Cyberatheans if you don't like Eldon plus Cots? Who's going to break the news to Mads?
Well, not much aren't horrific.
No, not
Garden Pikemen are mediocre. They're running out of things that are not horrible. Yeah.
Enjoy. Yeah, no, do stuff like that. So no, not really. couldn't they have just left Greyjoys alone for less effort? Was a question that we've had in the chat from Joey. Yes, they probably could have done, but they didn't. So yeah. No other questions as far as I can say. Good. No hope for Renly, says Melkor. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, at the end of the day, I'm happy it's out. I'm happy it's changed. I'm happy that Mance has probably come down in power level. That Chariots are changed. Positive for me. There's too many. Endless Horde changes. Good. But overall, I think that the meta's not going to be that shaken up by the vast majority of the changes outside of perhaps what Night's Watch does.
Well, months will be worse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but
that's it.
the things that were wrong before, like in general, also like from what kind of meta are we in, that's still the same.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, let's a little bit wait maybe for Outflank. That's something I'm really excited for, how this works out. Could be nice. Could be very like more dynamic games. Could also be very one-dimensional though. Like because I go forward, you go come in the rear, and like I don't know. But I think in general the meta, how it works, what is strong, what is not strong, basically stays pretty much the same.
Yep. Let's put it like this: you're not rushing out to put infantry units on the board, are you? At 6 and 7 points, particularly.
Probably not.
So, Cab for the win. Infantry units sad. 4 pointers still good. Hey! Meta-analysis. There you go. That was done. Cool. All right then. Reminder about the tournament structures here. The UK scene kicking off with the London Open in April. We've also got the Always Winter GT in March, where tickets and everything. I think there are a couple of tickets left, maybe. Data. So Mickey does a 3.5-hour stream after doing one yesterday every week, and has time for questions at the end. Simon does a 30-minute one after being silent for 6 months and doesn't. Well, Data. One of us cares. Joey, which has Carlo's input. Yeah, well, he'll be back, no doubt, and we'll have his input soon, no doubt. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Jacob, and thank you, Daniel, for joining me today. And thank you, Bob. I know he had to leave earlier, but thank you very much, Bob. I'm glad we've had this discussion. I'm glad that we've gone through this together. I like how that me and Jacob went in this completely blind and had literally no idea what was happening, and it was true reactions for us. So yeah, naked reactions from me and Carla, me and Jacob was pretty there. We're happy days, right? Happy days. Let's move on. Let's move on to a new meta full of interesting things to discover. There's nothing immediately bustedly broken, which is a really good thing. There are no things where we get to the end of today and went, that's broken. So that's a good thing. And final words?
Thanks for having me and us. And no, I think it's good. Like, definitely. It's nothing. Let's appreciate the small things. They were on time. The app is updated. Nothing completely off.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, and overall, it might be a better balance after this patch, and that probably was the purpose of the patch. So good. Let's try it out.
Let's try it out. Jacob. His microphone isn't working, but I know what he said. I'll translate for the people at home. Ready? I'll do this. Mag Smash! That's what Jacob said. So yeah, happy days there. Well, and I appreciate for everyone tuning in. We reached, I think, 120 people there watching at one point, which is nowhere near Simon's 600 or 800 or it was, but we're trying. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. We will see you. I will see you all probably next week, where we've got a guest on talking about tournaments and some stuff coming up. And have a good one. Enjoy 2021 Season 2. Take it easy, guys.
Ready? Aim!
There's too many!
Anyone see my mammoth?
Stop me!